Hello, Chad. How are we doing this fine evening? Are we doing pog? I'm low-key chilling to the music. Yeah, man, I got recommended Latin jazz, and I was like, you know what? Latin jazz. Why not Latin jazz? Oh my god. Dude, it's been a crazy day. I know you guys listen, a lot of you want me to cover a lot of different things. I'm one guy, okay? But also it's been dude, I don't know what happened today. Like there's something in the air. There's something in the air, all right? There's a lot of wild things that happened, right? So, fuck. Let's see. Content Coper Cameron did the content deputy. Uh West Side Tyler video by British Runner. Innuendo Studios has decided to go on hiatus. Fuck, there was like one or two more. Dude, iDubbbz did a concern trolling video today too. Holy shit. Courtney Pete, okay, is also a character that has done another video as well. All right, I do believe a bunch of it is related to the Saberspark stuff, okay? Extended sabbatical, yeah. But it's been a lot of things all happening at once. And they're all stories that I had been covering on stream or everything, right? I just, it's like, damn, I don't give a fuck about edupes. Neither do I, but apparently a lot of people really do, man. A lot of people do. I don't either. Like I don't give a shit. His opinion has like negative value to me. Okay? Like the Ethan Hassan iDubbbz Destiny blah 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 doesn't mean anything to me. SpongeBob is in Sonic Cross Worlds Racing. Finally, some good news. The King of the Hill revival is a disaster. It's that, you know, the thing is that nobody ever comes to me with good news. They're always like, Diesel, this person has died in a tragic way. And they'll ping me, and they're not supposed to ping me in the server, but they'll ping me, and then all of a sudden, Big Fart Lover 25 is the reason that I find out that John Redcorn was shot in a tragic murder by his fucking neighbor, okay, committing a hate crime on the first day of Pride Month. Diesel, you're very handsome today. Thank you. I'm feeling a little bloated, I gotta be honest. I think I'm on my period. Oh my god. Probably doesn't help that I'm drinking an energy drink, but okay, Diesel, I got a 7K scholarship. There's your good news. Congratulations. That is good news. Yeah, I'm on my myriad. I'm on my myriad. Fuck, hold on. I literally can't access my notes without logging in. So now I need to log in to access my notes. You got paid to heed the bad. Oh yeah. It was a dono. I guess it was a dono. I don't remember who donoed that. But it's just like that being like how information is disseminated is very funny to me. There we go. You're making chicken crunch wraps, very based. But yeah, man, we got a lot to go over today. But we're mainly going to be sticking to the Saber Spark KP drama rabbit hole. All right. I'm sorry you have PMS, Diesel. It sucks.
Time to start us off, W Money.
Thank you. Appreciate it, of course. So I had been privy to this drama for a while, kind of like behind the scenes. And hold on, I need to get it onto my desktop.
Celebrates 6 months of membership. Hey.
I like how it got rid of the O's on that. What do you need, Poppy? No, I'm gonna be starting with the Beckett video. So yeah, I'd been privy to this drama for a bit, And of course, as it was coming out, I was following it. But then I kind of like fell off because it was getting like really ridiculously complicated. And I could at max do one complicated drama at a time. And since I was locked into the chair, I was locked into the Clockwork Orange hold your eyes open chair for the Cameron stuff. I literally couldn't pay attention to this. But every now and again, Beckett and I would touch base for like either like feelers on how the video was doing. And and you know, everything I was seeing coming up to it, I was like, wow, Beckett, this is like really good stuff. Like you and the op block are doing really, really good work here, right? Like this is going to be an amazing video. And I also think it's amazing that this video is 2 hours in length, man. All right. I have some good news, Diesel. We can be bees. That's a Diorio joke, right? You and Beckett would cross streams. We do. We cross streams and we compare our notes all the time. Oh, it's from Invincible. Good news, Mark. We can be bees. Okay. I only said that because I saw Nick today clapping back on someone on Twitter by making that joke. So I didn't realize that it came from Invincible. It's an Invincible YouTube poop, Diesel. Wow, as the resident Invincible guy, I should have known that. Dude, you guys aren't ready for what? Holy shit, Axis. Jesus Christ. Holy fuck. Axis, are you sure? Payday came early. I mean, Jesus, you did that. Like, I feel like I should do like a little jig. Okay. I did get paid today. Congratulations on that paycheck. I know you were busting your ass for that job too, so I'm also receiving DMs right now. Why? Okay, why do you want to call me? You know what? Okay. If this is about something stupid, I'm gonna hang up on you.
Diesel.
What is it, Emerald?
I found a nuke.
You're not putting a nuke on my stream. First of all, what is this nuke of?
I found a nuke. I'm live as well, so this is also on my stream.
I
found a nuke of Cameron.
Oh boy. Okay.
Do you care? Do you want me to?
DM it to me first.
Like a TLDR?
How nuclear is it?
He lies about the police report.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You were comparing notes against his response video?
Yeah. So so this video, if you go to 54 minutes, he shows the police report, a censored version, and he says that Krexa has a history of violence. Go ahead and watch that clip to where he says that. Tell me when you're ready, and I'll
What was
I'll tell you the rest.
What was the timestamp on that?
54
minutes. Okay. Wow, it can't be played. Dude, this is why you gotta use preserve tube and not the other one. I think it's because of the yeah, it's not working. It says error code cannot be played.
Hold on.
What's the cat doing? The cat is another streamer by the name of Emerald. This is your first time on the Diesel stream. Pog.
Let's go. Okay. You can look at my stream. I don't care if you leak DMs, if you share Discord or something.
Sure. I will. Let me switch to Windows. Boom.
Tell me when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Audio is a little fucked. I don't know if I can make it better, so just try to listen.
Running around, I was told to make sure that she didn't hurt herself. She acted like I was charging at her at the time in her document, when in reality I was walking over and just trying to figure out what to do. I was trying to follow the instructions that were given to me. I was able to get the police report for this. I let the officer know everything that started it from the get-go. How she moved in, the choking incident. He told me to record everything to cover my bases and to get her out as soon as possible for the safety of everyone there, which doesn't align with what she has said, but does align with the police report. As it turns out, she has a violent record. In the past, she has threatened a group of people with violence. And
Whoa, what the fuck? What the fuck?
So
That's a
I'm gonna
fucking
send,
lie,
I'm gonna send
dude.
you something that you can. I'm gonna copy paste this to you. So I've censored this. This is safe to pull up on stream. This is the section he shows to prove that she has a violent record. Now, the green is the location. Okay, like person one, location blank, which is I'm assuming where they live. I'm not obviously going to show that. Yellow is a. Do you fuck with like light racism?
It's fine, Emra. You can be
Comically
right.
black name. This person has the blackest name I've ever fucking seen. This person is like a fucking African in and out. So yellow name. His roommate's name, black male, and then the birth date. He is born in 87, it seems. Okay? I think, if I'm reading this correctly. Now, if we go to what he shows, he censors that all. He censors the fact that it's about a black male. He censors the birth date. Okay? We go back here. Violent tendencies via social media towards a select group of people. Baker acted in 2016 at blank for 298 threats. Use extreme caution. Multiple units should respond. Okay? So that's them basically saying there's a person with a history of violence. A 298 threat is essentially a credible threat of violence. So what that means is this threat is to be believed to be real. Like the police are to go into the situation. Obviously, this was in 2016. This is not modern. But the police are to go into the situation believing that this is a real threat, that this is an act of violence that is going to happen. They should respond as if it is real. It is a credible threat of violence. This is not about Krexa. This is about his roommate. You can even see in the order of events. They go here, they break the thing, they break everything up. Then it's like, okay, we figured out what's in the situation. We figured out what's going on. Also, another thing, there's a roommate who's been arrested before for something else. Just be cautious. He has a history of violence. He lies. He maliciously censors a police report and lies about what this is about to make it seem like Krexa has a history of violence when she has never been arrested or held for anything. Because if she would, it would be here because he called a mental health check on her, right? So if anything related to that had existed previously, it would be in the police report, just like an unrelated roommate is in the police report. So he lies. He lies and maliciously censors it, Diesel. This is evil.
I could not fucking believe
What are you thinking?
this.
What are we thinking, buddy?
Oh God. Well, listen, unless I have been told that there will be a content cop on me if this content deputy does bad. Okay. So
Oh, lovely.
I am not doing anything until that happens. Personally, right?
I'm making my own video.
But I know.
I've done
You're
a ton of
working.
research together. There is this. Listen, Diesel, I love you. If you saw, did you watch this response at the time when it came out?
Yes.
I think you're a fucking retard for not noticing some of the shit he does here. He stitches, like, it's obviously this is like a year ago. I don't expect you to remember all of this. He makes two different responses and stitches them together and has inconsistent answers between the two responses. So he'll address things 2 times and his responses contradict each other both times. It's insane. This is a crazy fucking video.
Yeah, I've told you before, and I've told my stream how fucking, right? So it's like things I put out a year ago, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I just let that little fucker lie into my ear too much, and it ended up like compromising my reporting, right? Now, obviously, I'm able to stand 10 toes down, like I should have been able to catch that, but I fucking.
But listen, I'm
He's
not,
a fucking
I'm not holding it
bitch.
against anybody. I think it's to be perfectly clear. I think it's a waste of time to like shit on you for this. I think better late than never. Better late than never. I don't really care if you did a bad job a year ago. I don't give a fuck. Better late than never. waste of.
Listen, none
a lot
of
of things about
you
Cameron, I think,
cared
is
a
like a
year
waste,
ago. I
okay?
just want to say nobody cared a year ago.
Nobody cared a year ago, and then this guy made a bad fucking content cop. Anybody thinks that content cop is good? I was the trailblazer, okay? When that shit came out, I thought that fucking thing was boring as fuck. Okay, I was the trailblazer. I knew this guy raped before the allegation even came out. All right?
Win Ebrow. Oh my gosh. You're carrying favor with my chat right now. That's pretty impressive. Chat, I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear that this kid needs to stay in his lane. Okay, Mr. Dogwarts over here. You know how much shit I've gotten for the you said?
That's good that I did that. You didn't listen. Did you see the Tyler video? I owned. Okay. Hoorah!
Yeah.
Tyler, dude. What a retard.
But yeah, I know you're working on a video. I know Toastify's working on a video. Definitely, there's so much stuff that's happened. There needs to be like something that gives a nice, consistent timeline ever since then, right? And I think I know what he's going to put into Content Cop. All right, on me, assuming he does it, but we'll see if it happens or not. I just know that he was.
I mean, I'm not gonna
mulling it around.
I'm not saying this to be rude, but like, why the fuck would he go from iDubbbz 7 million sub YouTuber to like, relatively speaking,
yes, exactly. No, 100%. Why would he? That's like such a waste of time.
Yeah, like that's.
I know that I live in his head rent free though, so it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not gonna waste any more time. I'll head off.
Thank you for this, Ebrow. You have a lovely stream.
Yeah. Love you.
Why am I at the top of the board? Drummer, none of us know how it works. Okay. Literally, none of us know how it works. Emrah's giving free content. Yeah, he is. He's a little idiot. I will say that. But, he's been putting into work on this. I don't even know how he has the autistic capability for it. But, yeah. I think it's partially based off of messages you read out loud. I don't know if it's that, because then the YouTube's like, what, monitoring my speech live with like AI? I'm learning not to dislike him again. Like I said, he's a Dogwarts guy. He's got a lot to own up for with that stupid hypothetical question. I respect Emrah for the way he's dealt with info. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't want to repeat it, but I hate Cameron so fucking much, man. All right? That little shitter. That little shitter. I thought too highly of him. Personally. I thought too highly of Cameron. What is KP even beating Saber Spark with in the thumbnail? A hammer. It looks like a hammer. Him saying that's the blackest name I've ever heard did not do him any favors. Yeah. Yeah. But in his defense, I have seen the name. It's pretty bad. It's the shame bell. Okay, it looks like he's about to beat him with a hammer.
Normally, I love it when my autistic obsession with the Brony community breaks into more
Was it Devontae? No, it was like it was like a guy from the jungle.
mainstream commentary. But this particular drama is one
Diesel, can I mention you in my unbanned request to Diorio? I don't know about that. I guess. I don't think that's gonna help you.
very nearly didn't cover at all. Because when the allegations made by I Love Kim Possible a lot against Saberspark dropped, I was already aware of their connection to the wider Black Griffin drama, which, I'll be honest with you, is a complete bloody...
It would be funny. It was like Beckett would vanish for like a week, And then he would message me and he's like, "Can I show you something?" And then he would just show me this video, right? So I've seen this video like piecemeal over the course of like a month.
Headache. Now, while this video won't go into detail about those allegations, understanding that wider drama which revolves around and indeed hinges upon persuading somebody's wife that they're now
Just that I've been in your community forever and haven't caused any problems. It's I don't know. Everybody has different standards.
husband groomed them is unfortunately the only way to actually explain why any of this happened at all. So while my long-term dodging of this story might make me a bit of a Johnny-come-lately, I've put in work over the last week or so to really unpick what's been happening behind the scenes to give you all a clear view of the insanity that's been occurring. And I do mean insanity, because what I have for you today is a drama that stretches back over a decade.
Ah, yes, my favorite English commentary man, Bucket from Come and Sneeze. I gotta tell him somebody said that. Hold on, let me DM him right now. At Beckett. Someone called you Bucket from the channel Come and Sneeze. I thought it was funny. Funny. There we go. Shit.
All the way to the animation analysis community. I've heard your house described as the home for wayward bronies, to be fair to her. Like...
Yeah, it was that way for a long time until I got over it.
I'm kind of fascinated just hearing stories about her at cons. Was she just always this crazy?
Rachel? Crazy isn't the right word. Entitled is the right word. Clueless is the right word.
So welcome to the rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to show you what happened to all those people who used to unironically refer to themselves as horse famous. Let's get into it.
But sacrificing putting children at risk because you don't want to publicly speak out about this behavior.
Your fans aren't your peers.
Something better could come out of this if you fucking
Oh
talk
my
to
god, that was one of my favorite parts of this that I've seen so far, is like where a guy is being let go from like KP's team, and this random glup shitto is like, "You're terrible, blah 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 blah." I remember when Diesel went to BronyCon. Yeah, me too. It was a good time. Baltimore sucks though.
Firstly, given that this is a drama finding its origin points back in 2012, as you can imagine, there are a fair amount of moving parts and various parties who are involved. But my interest lies almost solely, at least at the moment, in the allegations being leveled against Saberspark and frankly, how they were platformed in the first place. So, we're actually going to begin on May the 1st this year.
Yeah, Horse Famous is the MLP version of Popufur.
When I Love Kim Possible a Lot, also known as KP, released a video she'd been working on for the last several months on DA Games. Now KP has been knocking around YouTube for a significant period of time, with the channel dating back to 2007, though she'd reached the height of her popularity in 2014, having started to gain traction in the Brony community in 2013. Now I have a soft spot for this little community, because it's produced some fantastic...
See, no. Whatever Beckett's saying right now, he's lying. He's actually a closet furry, okay? He's been a furry for years. He just doesn't want to admit that he is a furry, okay?
Dramas over the years. Regular viewers will be aware of my obsession with the creator from this community known as Toon Critic, who was caught trying to solicit nudes from a minor through My Little Pony erotic roleplay.
A Brony reviewer named Toon Critic Y2K, a person with whom I and many others have worked, has been engaging in sexually explicit chats with an underage girl.
I feel like the tone is like not appropriate for like this. You know what I mean? Like being a little cartoon guy and you're like, Cartoon Critic has been diagnosed pedophile. And then you're like a little rabbit. It's just, it doesn't feel right, you know? Oh, I went looking for something on Rumble to try and find a video, right? Because I was like looking through stuff and And the funniest part, when I went looking, I typed in the word rabbit. Don't type in the word rabbit on Rumble. You're not going to like what you see. And then I accidentally stumbled upon the Rabbithole about like following the white rabbit. What is that? That's like a Pizzagate thing, right? And I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Many of us reacted with shock, confusion, anger, and sadness.
While cartoon analysis as a content bracket has expanded over the years, its origin and indeed its popularity can firmly be attributed to the insane popularity of My Little Pony, particularly amongst a certain demographic. This is of course also true of DA Games and Saberspark, and the footage I'm using at the moment is from Saberspark's own documentary on the Brony fandom, which he made to celebrate the community.
It's just character stills, it's very professional. Maybe if it was wearing a little suit with a trilby and looked like a detective, it'd be better.
While this all sounds very pleasant and nice, it probably won't come as a surprise to many of you that the history of the Brony fandom is basically a smorgasbord of allegations. And while this may sound slightly callous, it doesn't surprise me to watch this current drama unfold in the way that it has. Allow me to be blunt for a second. The allegations against Saberspark and indeed DA Games do not exist within...
No, it's when Dream puts on his little detective hat, and then he does like a talking to stream thing as Detective Dream.
in a vacuum. They form part of a long-running pattern for this particular fandom. Firstly, there is an inherent problem of the Brony demographic. We are talking about adult men who are obsessed with a child's cartoon show aimed at little girls. And that particular overlap attracted an awful lot of nonces into the community. But there is a secondary element which many of you will not be aware of, and it's the reason that we're even talking about this in 2025, considering it concerns events all the way back in 2012.
Was that that looked like Peter Griffin in that.
The Brony fandom actively encouraged people who'd gone through abusive situations to forgive their abusers and shut the fuck up about it.
If we withhold forgiveness, it does not harm the wrongdoer in any way. I realize that forgiveness is not, and never was, for the benefit of the wrongdoer. It is for our own benefit. It is what enables us to finally release the anger, the resentment, the hurt, the poison that slowly turns our hearts black.
And that really wouldn't change until 2018.
Holy crap, Lois, this is worse than the time I walked into the BronyCon orgy.
When Lio Convoy came onto the scene. Have I never mentioned that before?
That is such a rough... oh. Oh. Oh no. Why does the lion mask have buck teeth? Oh god. Somebody's gotta finance a new lion head for Lio, bro. Like, no meme. With much respect, I think he could get a much nicer one, man. Oh boy. So hold on. I kind of want to look around his room.
When Lio Convoy came onto the
Dude, listen, man. Say whatever you want about Lio. This is the most man cave image I've ever seen in my life. All right, this is a beautiful, beautiful setup he has here. All right, do you see how many gun plus he has? He's got a lot, dude. He's got the IKEA shelves. Like, this is a man in his own environment, man. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The Thundercat sword is too much. Oh yeah, that's really what makes this. That's what takes this entire room from, like, you know, in vogue to completely garish and just over the top. You know, something about that Thundercat sword really just ruins the ambiance of the room.
Have I never mentioned that before? The cartoon analysis community is Lio Convoy's origin story. We'll come back to this in a bit because it's another piece in the puzzle which is going to become relevant later. But the relevance of that culture of silence that existed explains why we're now litigating these dramas years later, because any discussion of them at the time would have been quickly shut down. And it also became a bit of a trend for people with pre-existing grudges to happily run allegation stories on people they didn't like with fairly flimsy evidence. And yes, KP's video fits firmly within this trend. In fact, within KP's Discord, there exists an archived thread of safety reports. These safety reports are basically Google documents on people who are problematic within the community be they child groomers or just slightly annoying. The idea being to spread awareness to the wider community or anyone who may come across these individuals. The video KP was doing on DA Games was a safety report. But it's probably helpful to you, and because I don't want to pick through a 2-hour video breaking it down, to just hear from KP herself regarding the timeline and motivations behind the video. Let's start giving just a brief background on how you ended up in the kind of... I know you've got a fairly long history with these kind of communities anyway, but why were you making a video about the DA group story in the first place?
Oh wow, you really don't know anything. So the original video was supposed to be about Chris. Chris was an ex-employee of mine that I found out made up a story about, to be blunt, jerking off to my clothes in a con and
Could you imagine KP's video was just about the jerking off in a bathroom? You know? Wow, Diesel, it may shock you, but I almost got a safety report before KP shut that part of her Discord down. That's insane. Holy shit. Why is today just a day where everybody is like mentally ill and sending me things or like wanting to call in? Is today mental illness day? What is wrong with everybody? Can you guys just not have a fun Pride Month? Like, Jesus Christ. Just go get a femboy to give you top, bro.
Mark, look, I made a pizza.
What?
I made a pizza. This is good news. Have some pizza.
Touch me.
Calm down.
I will not.
Not to throw shit. It's Chris. This one's Chris's fault. I get it now.
Thinking about it. Was never told that story. So a whistleblower told me it. Confronted Chris, recorded that call. Chris admitted to it. Contacted DA Games and Saber to see if they were going to do anything. I contacted Saber through his employees because I don't really like Saber, but I felt like it was fair to give him a heads up. And same with DA. DA was, I think all those emails are in the video if you want to like find a mirror and get them there. But the DA emails were essentially, hey, seems like this is handled, like go away. And then I was like, well, we're going to release this publicly as a safety report. So like, do you have any comment? And then they started getting really frazzled, and they tried to use British law to convince me not to release it, even though the laws didn't make any sense.
Now I'd like to pause here for a moment, because the elements involving Chris deserve further examination. I've now heard that full call, and what was initially presented was an edited version of a much longer conversation. Within this longer conversation, Chris takes full accountability of his actions. He apologizes repeatedly.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is like we've seen firsthand, right? So we saw this call firsthand. Like we all saw the video on it. So we know all the TLDRs for this.
Clear notes of actions he has taken over the years to correct these behaviors. These communities talk an awful lot about people taking accountability. And that if people do take accountability and apologize for their actions, mostly they can just get on with their lives afterwards. So it confused me quite a lot to hear Chris do all the things you are meant to do and still be expected to face serious repercussions. We are talking about a single instance over a decade ago with seemingly no repeat behaviors. The idea someone should be fired over this is frankly absurd. And so I went back to KP to ask her about it.
Because Boy, I can't wait to hear what KP's answer is for clip chimping the call, dude.
I went looking through some of the Chris stuff, KP. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's very difficult with the Chris stuff, because what I've got your section of the video, which is a 2-minute cut, and that's a condensed version of the full call, which isn't noted as a condensed version in your video. And then I've listened to the full call, and Chris is highly apologetic, takes full accountability for his actions, explains to you that, you know, where he was at the time.
Oh God, this is bad, man.
The fact that he has sought therapy and to modify that.
I like the implication that he sought therapy for making a joke about jerking off in a bathroom, okay?
behavior. He's not making excuses for it. He's literally just actually taking account. So I'm trying to.
I think
Tutti
honestly,
frutti,
after
grapes emoji, watermelon emoji, lemon emoji, pineapple emoji, green apple emoji, pear emoji, peach emoji.
you know, after all the donos from Axis, I think you guys get fruit. I think he funded the first layer of fruit for the evening. Okay.
Understand why you felt it was necessary to make a video on him, or why he should be fired for something that happened a decade ago, and he has apologized for.
No
I
point
clicked
in
on the
regular
wrong video.
introduction
Oh
for
my
this
god.
one.
Therapy, and to
Jorking off into her clothes, to be for real, which is freak behavior. He didn't. That's the point. Is that he didn't jerk off in her clothes. He made like a uncouth joke to other male friends, and then they spread it around,
We can be
and it
bees.
eventually caught
Honeybee
back to her.
emoji,
It's
honeybee
completely.
emoji, honeybee emoji.
It's a completely weird joke, like absolutely, but like it's not an action he did. He did not jerk off in her bathroom.
modify that behavior. He's not making excuses for it. He's literally just actually taking account. So I'm trying to understand why you felt it was necessary to make a video on him, or why he should be fired for something that happened a decade ago, and he has apologized for.
I guess I just wanted a sense of accountability.
And then on top of that, like, excuse me for not really giving a shit about KP's feelings in this, right? Is like, it happened so long ago that at any point she could have gone to Chris and been like, listen, that wasn't cool. But like turning it into a video is just outrageous, because the level of behavior here is not, it's not the same at all.
If that makes sense. Like, I get your point, though.
It's very difficult, because what does accountability look like? I mean...
And then Beckett's asking a very good question here. Just for reference, I've seen this part, right? Where it's like, the entire point of the video is so that way Chris and some of these other actors can take accountability. And I've said it in a prior stream. What do you even do? Like, what happens? What is the recourse in this situation, right?
Again, he didn't actually assault anybody.
It's so funny. Her first criticism of this video was the image they used of the shame bell. She was literally doing that. She wanted them to do the Game of Thrones walk of shame.
He made up a weird story, which is very fucking weird. I agree with you. But he's, you know, if accountability is you should lose your job, your livelihood, and everything else, I mean, would you agree that's fairly extreme?
Okay, so I love a good pregnant pause.
I think, like, maybe, like, some sort of statement from him, too, might have helped. Like, no, I get your point, though. Like, that this was a thing that happened, and this probably damaged some relationships that I was working on at the time. And, that kind of sucks, but I see what you mean.
Because, I mean, I will say, like, from talking to a few other people who've been going over this, I mean, the Chris stuff is a point that's kind of come up again and again. It's like, you know, I see a lot of stories about people who are like abusers, who've like had sexual conversations around and with kids. I think there's a current drama going on over again, some stuff that happened like 5 years ago. And one of the particular people involved in that, you know, he's in trouble now because he's sort of pushing back after sort of acknowledging what he's done to this person. But the kind of prevailing thing is like, well, if you just said, yeah, that was a fuck up, and I was a bit weird, and I'm sorry, no one would care. But with Chris, you've got literally the reverse of that situation where he does admit it's a fuck up, says that he's sorry, and it's like, that feels like it's not enough 2 years later. So, yeah, I kind of want to be clear about that, because I think that's something that you are going to catch flack for.
Oh my god.
I think
Diesel, make Beckett come help you with this. Beckett needs to sleep. He is a big man with big responsibilities.
it was also, no, that's fair. I think it was also, I was frustrated with, like, I think I wanted some accountability. I was frustrated with the responses I was getting, and I was frustrated that no one was, like, offering to help fix it. It was just more like,
The problem is what do people do to fix it?
The Op Block celebrates 10 months of membership. We need shirtless stream gold. That is all.
I am not going shirtless today.
if that makes sense.
Sure.
I'm accountable.
What does fixing it look like to you?
Maybe some kind of...
There is no fixing it here. Like, I don't... Like, fixing it is literally him apologizing for the behavior, right? But it's like, you make it a big public thing. The entire purpose of that is it's very clear that the purpose is, I want to ruin your career.
Public acknowledgement or something, because it had reputational damage, but also maybe like actually proving he went to have some sensitivity training or something, and not just saying that.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I mean,
not to be that guy, but it happened over a decade ago. It's like, that is a totally different person, all right, that made the joke versus the person alive now as a person.
Because when I watched through your video, he seems to say in his public statement, yes, this is a thing that happened and I needed to work on and I'm sorry for. I mean, it was, it was a very corporate statement in some regards. I think that's fair, but it's like, publicly, this was acknowledged as a thing that did happen with Chris, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think there is a spiraling element here that...
Oh, I should clarify that it was only acknowledged publicly. I felt he might be a little bit dangerous just because he was kind of lying about those kind of experiences on top of...
He's dangerous.
When I looked into the DA game stuff too, I don't know if you've got in there, but there's a lot of like gross behavior there. So it just seemed like these people weren't
It's like you can't attach something that is like, I know React Andes will sit here responding to a drama being like nothing burger, right? But like you can't make part of your exposed video this complete like nothing burger and then also attach something really serious to it, because then people will go, well, I don't know about that, right? And then as a result, they'll throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? So it's like, you got to be very careful, right? Because if there is something serious, now people have to do extra work to walk back your bad thing.
For themselves as well. So I guess it became a bigger scope to me once Games was not really willing to work with me. And then once some of the game's victims found me and they were like, oh, this is a pattern, because they do this kind of stuff all the time.
With that out of the way, I suppose we should get to the Saber Spark allegations themselves. Now, the way I want to break this down is I'm going to explain to you what the allegations were and how they were presented, and then I'm going to tell you what happened behind the scenes. And I can do that with receipts, because I have everyone's DMs. And yes, that includes...
That's crazy. I wish it was that. How'd you get all these DMs, Beckett? What did you whisper sweet nothings to them? Huh? What did you whisper sweet nothings to them? Now I have to spend time in Debate Pervert Island, okay? Because people wouldn't give me their fucking DMs, all right? How did you do this? What's the secret code word?
Brony Fandone's DMs with KP, which...
He showed hole. He offered them a kiss.
Make for fairly fascinating reading. So, the allegations against Saberspark were first released on Twitter through Brony Fandone's account. And believe it or not, that fact's going to...
Diesel, it's easy, he's British. Okay, unironically, I feel like his Britishness gives him an air of professionalism that does not exist. Okay? This guy is a gamer, is a gay gamer, all right?
Become quite relevant later on.
I feel like when you talk to me, you're like partially worried you're talking to the Penguin from Gotham City, right? Because of my accent. But then you hear him and you're like, oh, he must be like a lord or something.
These allegations would come from an anonymous source, claiming that in 2012 and 2013, though it is worth noting that there would be a later correction that this all occurred in 2012, this individual...
Diesel, just be nice.
Twice,
works for me. Shut up! Shut up!
Engaged in non-consensual sexual activity with him. KP would then present these allegations in her video, and follow it up with a conversation between herself and Courtney Pete regarding the nature of consent. As a quick note for those of you unaware of who Courtney Pete is, this is the sister of Lily Orchard, and most people will be aware of her through her ongoing campaign against Lily Orchard, who is alleged to have abused Courtney during her childhood. Regarding the allegations themselves, and we'll come to who the...
Block is right, you know. I'm a nice guy, but I think I have an upper limit on it.
accuser actually...
I'm old, and so it's like my little prune of a heart has gotten blacker over the years.
I was immediately pretty skeptical of the...
Stop calling people you want shit from cringe, Diesel. I don't call everybody I want stuff from cringe.
When I saw them. I put out a tweet.
Sometimes, though, they are cringe.
Twitter thread outline.
I'd tell Diesel anything. Thank you, Pinker.
My issues with the allegations the day after they dropped. But I'd like to take a moment to be crystal clear at this point. I don't think anybody will ever be able to say with 100% certainty that these events did or did not occur. While Saberspark has denied the accusations, this occurred so long ago that the evidence to condemn or vindicate him just doesn't exist. Which is exactly
You have
why...
to choose what type of social engineering you want to spec into.
Accusations like this should never be platformed by a creator. Putting anyone in the position where they have to deal with life-ruining allegations when you have no evidence to support them beyond a single victim testimony is an incredibly callous and fucked up thing to do to somebody. And as we dive into the deeper drama surrounding this story, particularly when looking at people like Brony Fandone, that's a theme. Because when it comes to the Black Griffin allegations, vast amounts of the evidence supplied against him is incredibly shaky. And when challenged on this, the defense is the quantity of allegations, regardless of their quality. And to be candid, it astonishes me that this has gone on for as long as it has. That being said, let's get to the behind the scenes. One thing I was made immediately aware of is apparently Lyo Convoy was involved in this, which didn't come as much of a surprise given his history with this particular community. Lyo again has pre-existing relationships with KP and many of the other people involved in this particular fandom.
What the fuck? What is going on here? What am I looking at? You can't just throw these things in this video, Beckett. Which one's Lyo? Which one's that creepy reading? I feel like this is Lyo, right? He looks a little older than this guy. Diesel, this video is real.
Actually, a little bit of fun lore for you, but a lot of the people involved in this...
Okay, alright, so that's that creepy reading. You know what? He looks exactly like I thought he would.
Senate server actually originate in the Brony community.
But Lyo's got like a really... That's a really insane Batman costume, man. Wild. Watch it.
Recording?
Yep.
I'm Batman.
Oh my god, this is bad. Oh my god. Oh.
And this is creepy reading. He's a dirty, filthy criminal, and he's going down.
Oh, this is bad. This is cringe. Was that a... Did he actually take it? What was that?
All right. Holy shit. My fat knuckles of justice saw you taken care of.
Oh my god.
Wow. Well, I wasn't expecting that. But all right. Randy. Stop recording now.
You can stop recording now. Holy shit.
With individuals such as Queen Seraphina even voice acting in popular Brony cartoons, like this one from Pymations. Though, to my surprise, Lyo's involvement in this is incredibly minimal.
That is actually surprising, I'm not gonna lie.
He would, though, share what DMs he had, and it seems he was added to a couple of different group chats. The first involving the individuals leveling accusations towards DA Games, as well as the individual making allegations against Saberspark. In the interest of transparency, and because the DA individual making allegations against In the interest of transparency, and because the DA Games group chat is less of interest right now, though is referenced in later conversations, I think it's useful to hear this first recording just in full so you can get a general scale of Lyo's level of involvement.
So is everybody here like previous employees of DA Games? Is that what I'm getting reading the chat here? Okay, so is everybody here an adult or we got any minors here? I haven't heard the interview myself.
Lyo, I like how he pre-asked those questions. This is a good, there you go. That was good.
I'm curious. When you say I'm serious, is that because humor is a coping mechanism for you? Because that's pretty common. I think maybe putting in a section, perhaps with a notation on studies, showing that sometimes people cope with things via humor, and that's how they figure out discussing it, would probably help to that, not just in the sense that it would recontextualize your interview, and obviously make it to where it doesn't need to be redone, but also it further points out that you're a victim of these things, and that's how you're internalizing it. And it puts more credibility to your claim than just redoing it and trying to do it in a sterile as possible fashion.
Of note here, Lyo's advice is to allow original victim testimonies to stand as they are. This is very, very solid advice for reasons that will become clear in a little bit. As for his conversation with the Saber Spark accuser, well, that requires a little bit of dissection. To begin with, when KP came to Lyo to ask his opinion on this, Lyo is incredibly clear that the correct course of action is to go to the police and file a report.
And that needs to be handled by the cops, like period. Like 100% period. That needs a police report filed today.
Amazingly, he also points out the complete bloody obvious that the accuser trying to remain anonymous to protect themselves from Saberspark finding out it's them makes no sense, because if this is true, Saberspark will immediately know who is making the accusation.
That is a very good point.
There's a problem, though, with that inherently. If that did happen, and Saber did do that, he will by nature know who it is. So if it gets out...
Oh my god, literally is complete... Lyo is completely on the ball with these responses.
...form, and a police report hasn't been filed, she's going to be at risk. Like, that's just the truth of the matter in this. And it's unpleasant, it's ugly, but that's the truth.
These sentiments from Lyo would broadly be reiterated to the accuser when he got in a conversation with her. Because whatever else you want to say about Lyo Convoy, and believe me, I understand, even he sees the inherent risks of running a story like this, noting that it may open KP up to a defamation suit. They'd continue to go back and forth on this topic for a while, with the accuser pushing back that filing a report may allow Saber to find out who she is, though the accuser does accept by the end that releasing this story at all means that Saber will be able to identify her, which makes this entire interaction, again, very, very bizarre. I'd also like to point out that this account, Sunspecs, was created specifically to have this conversation with Lyo, as the accuser further obfuscates their actual identity. And when Lyo refuses to budge that a police report is required, the accuser would essentially ghost him and refuse to communicate any further. So who is this mysterious accuser? Well, that would be a woman by the name of Emu.
Dude, that is 100% Scarlet Reaper in the chat. Oh my god.
Emmy. Now, how do I know that? Well, there were a few reasons. There was a large amount of circumstantial evidence that was compiled in a Google document a week or so ago. This spread like wildfire and led to her name being shared in multiple chats. We also have these vague posts from Casey, the partner of Saberspark's editor. But I have to admit I was slightly ahead of the curve here, because...
Oh my god.
Before any of this was public, Emmy had provided a Dropbox link to a video as evidence that she had attended the cons in question. But Emmy is not some random unknown individual. She is a public figure, her name is public, and if you click on more information on this Dropbox video, it has her name on it. It is also worth me noting that at this point, now that Saberspark's response is out, Emmy has been on the record with other content creators, talking at length about these accusations and herself. And yes, I was offered this recording. And the fact that such a large content creator, somebody who has literally been on Dr. Phil, would try to platform these accusations anonymously, is an element that deserves discussion and analysis. Lyo would also get me in contact with KP, which is why he is in the first call, and KP would provide confirmation that it was Emmy. I expect you're also wondering when this information became available to KP herself. And I'll be honest with you, that was also something I was quite curious to know.
So, whatever.
Well,
and then,
when did you know?
when did I know it was Emmy?
Yes.
At the beginning.
Scarlett, I think I love you. I mean, truly completes us, you know.
Okay. So, from sort of an outside perspective, one of the big difficulties, I guess, with
if he's typing, Scarlett, I put the N-word F slur account in timeout. So,
story is you have a reasonably sized creator for this space coming out anonymously, with a very long history with this group. I mean, they certainly interacted with Saber. And everyone else, around the DA group for a long period of time.
What's the lore of Scarlett? There's a amazing... Diesel, let him try again. Well, he makes a lot of accounts, so I'm sure he'll be back.
I am...
But for the lore on Scarlett, the op block has like a really good stream going over his relation, which, by the way, related to Cameron F305... Womp womp.
Surprised you didn't look into anything about them or question.
And to be clear, because it's my word against mine, the issue with my original Yandere Dev video, right? And the issue that I have personally with myself now is that I allowed Cameron, I thought he was a normal person, okay? And so I allowed him to lie to me and didn't correct those things. I didn't know. But it is what it is. Those are things that I still should have caught. But they're saying that it's my word against mine for some reason. My position really hasn't changed. The stuff with Yandere Dev is completely reprehensible. He should have never gone to go meet up with the minor. Okay. And the reason I'm referring to her as a minor is not because I want to paint him as a pedophile, but because that is an individual that was groomed by Yandere Dev. And I can't talk about Yandere Dev grooming someone and then say they're an adult. Okay? So there's that. The stuff that I've conceded on or changed my position on is stuff that only exists as an incorrect position because of Cameron lying to me. Okay? I've released the calls in full a year ago. I released the information in full a year ago. All right? I released the calls again in full now. All right. And he's been deliberately and maliciously clipping me so that way I can work as a vouch for him. I'm not a vouch for you, Cameron. I'm not a fucking vouch for you. All right. Cameron, if you were to tell me personally, right, that you were not on the grassy knoll the day that JFK was shot, I would believe that we caught the wrong guy. I don't know. And by the way, I know that your mods are in contact with Scarlett. I am assuming, and it is my opinion, that you have talked to Scarlett at length and you are aware of me killing him. Okay? But this is a person who has threatened to dox me, my collaborators, and threatened to have me swatted. You have actually assigned yourself with somebody who wishes real-world violence on me, okay? And not a particularly amazing look. And by the way, you know the crazy thing is that I'm blocking me talking about it now, nobody's going to care. But if I get swatted, guess what? All of a sudden, people are going to go, I wonder what's going on there.
The fact that they were coming out with this anonymously.
Well, the anonymous part seemed clear. She was afraid that she was going to get harassed, and with my interactions with Saber, and like other people's interactions with Saber, he'll try to kind of use his platform to, I guess kind of shake people a little bit. That's what he tried to do with me, at least. Seemingly. I guess I didn't question that. So, like, I guess suffice to say I was fucking stupid, and, you know, this is going to be another long week. I don't really know what to tell you besides that.
Before we move forward, we should probably talk about who exactly Emmy is, as that may shed a little light on why they may wish to remain anonymous. Emmy Jones is best known, at least from a drama perspective, for engaging in an affair with Ryan Drummond, one of the Sonic voice actors. And she is generally deeply disliked by the Sonic fandom, despite the fact that, like any good fan would,
I miss him so much, guys. Guys, I got fucked by Sonic. The voice was used. Got my massage. It was amazing as hell. Gonna see it show in a few hours. I think I might. I don't. Girl. Oh, Zooey mama.
she did apparently get him to do the voice. But if this was her only controversy, I don't think it would be relevant. However, Emmy has a long history of being an unreliable narrator, or at least being seen as such. I said earlier that she's been on Dr. Phil, and while this was just a rumor for a while, Emmy would come out in the comment section of that video confirming it was her at 16 on an episode talking about how she wanted to become a teen mother. Now, it is not unusual for a content creator
She wanted to become a teen mother? Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
who's been around this long to have their fair share of dramas. But Emmys have a particular flavour, and they come in two parts. Firstly, Ryan Drummond is not Emmy's only sex scandal. Now obviously there's the Dr. Phil episode, but she's also been accused of using her, shall we say, assets, to force other voice actors out of roles that she wants.
If she wants to get onto a project, she has to brute
What?
force her way in, and normally she does this by sleeping with whoever she can get her hands on. This is what ended up happening with Wrath of Nazo. Originally the project starred Spirit of the Blue as Sonic, and his
Well, plus I see your voice tale. I see your voice tales. She may be looking to turn folks against you. You are no longer voicing Tails. She already replaced me as Tails from Misadventures. She dubbed over my voice in Sonic Wrath of Nazo and refused to credit me, and on top of that was a jerk and a bitch to my close friends. She probably wants to be Tails in Wrath of Nazo because it seems she really likes Spirit of the Blue, who used to be my best friend. You do know she sniffs around at Tails' channel and Blue's crouches?
best friend Blue-Eyed Fox was voicing Tails. Emmy wanted
She sounds like Tails.
on this project because she had a thing for Spirit of the Blue, and she wasn't exactly happy that somebody else was voicing Tails, no less this person's best friend. So Emmy slept with Spirit of the Blue so she could replace Blue-Eyed Fox.
It is worth noting here that all of this does in some way come from biased sources, as we see the theme of much of this being based on testimony continue. But the second flavour of controversy Emmy is known for is sympathy baiting. While there is the standard "I'm being harassed" comment that you'll see from any run-of-the-mill creator, perhaps most damning here is accusations that Emmy on multiple occasions has scammed her audience through GoFundMe schemes, asking for money for a variety of ailments before mysteriously appearing at conventions or on holiday. In the interest of balance, I would like to challenge at least part of this, because when it comes to the claim that she used this money to attend conventions, that doesn't seem to be true. As when it comes to this period, she appears to have had a good working relationship with Sega, who would have covered her attendance. This is not to say whether I think Emmy is guilty or innocent of any of these accusations, but she does have an undeniable pattern when it comes to drama, which is damaging in this case because regardless of the
I need to hear what she sounds like. I need to know that she sounds like Tails.
validity of these claims against Saberspark, they do fit within this motif. There are, of course, no perfect victims, and none of us should have those expectations. But in a case like this, where there is no evidence for the accusations being made, the credibility of the accuser is basically all I or anyone else has to go on. Now, when other people have looked into it, what they've found is a video called The Queen Falls by Lanced Jerkov. And I'm gonna lay
Professional raccoon Lance Jerkoff.
my cards on the table here. I have a bit of an issue with this video, and it feels a touch like a microcosm of this entire drama.
And that's alongside her reputation as a backstreet girl and a bad mother being
A backstreet girl is a wild statement. What the fuck?
so well known in this fandom that apparently people are just talking about it openly, with the final nail in the coffin being her association with Animated James and Toon Critic Y2K, two men who, let's just say, had a similar interest in women to Jared Fogle.
Whoa!
Because much of what is presented is a fragment of evidence, and then an awful lot of speculation. And this is true even of the Drummond stuff. Yes, they had an affair, But we have no idea what that actually looked like, and it's used to paint Emmy as a home-wrecking bitch who actively tried to destroy Drummond's marriage. The fandom then does exactly what you'd expect. They treat Drummond as though he has no agency, and he is a victim of some insane ethos. Later on in the video, Lance would also present testimony from Steven Sayers, a now police officer but former employee of Sierra Games. But Emmy denies even knowing this person, and if it is true, the implications are incredibly fucked up, because the dates that Sayers originally gives would mean that Emmy was a minor at the time. When Sayers is confronted on this fact, he quickly shifts position to saying it must have occurred in 2013, but that makes little sense with the overall timeline of Emmy's career. Irregardless, I don't know why we're taking the testimony of a guy who, while trying to shit on this chick, managed to make himself look like a nonce. Now, none of this should be treated as though I'm trying to mount some kind of defense of Emmy. I've got my own opinions on the allegations, but she won't talk to me. I have tried reaching out.
There's no way Emmy would ever talk to anybody who's even gonna look into the thing she's saying at all. Like, there's no way. Diesel, could you show the swatting part of the threats? I could pull them up, one, but first of all, I'm not gonna give his accounts more credibility at all. Two, that one was termed, so I have like all the stuff, but that's for me and like the PD.
To have a conversation, she's simply not interested. Rather, what I'm trying to show you is that this community regularly works off half-truths and rumors, and that's pretty problematic when we're talking about very serious allegations. Even this video from Lance, great example. Because I was asking the question as to why somebody would drop a video like this when they've got a fairly consistent upload schedule and then seemingly vanish from their channel and not upload for a year. And when I went looking for that answer, multiple people would tell me that Lance had allegations against him. No one provided any evidence for this, but if anything, that's exactly what I'd expect. This has obviously become so normalized for this community.
Wait, what did it say? And the way Steven says you were pretty loose since you had experience, and from the way he and others reacted, was your father of your kids is one of them, maybe. Not sure who else slept with you, but Steven said their boss made it clear they had slept with you and one other girl. My concern is the time frame. Steven says this would you were a minor while they were adults. Yikes, no, I don't like this person at all. None of these people are my child's father. Jesus Christ. My daughter's father is in her life and lives across the street. He's the person I dated for a long time. This person definitely wanted to pretend he was sleeping with me, and it's incredibly gross.
I'd expect. This has obviously become...
It also adds another layer to it that they spread these rumors despite the fact that I was a minor when I had my daughter. Which means he really is running around telling people he and his coworkers committed a crime.
So normalized for this community. And so now, as we move into...
Can I have that read in the voice of Tails, please?
How these allegations were handled, it begins to make a lot more sense why nobody questioned these allegations against Saberspark before platforming them. Somewhat depressingly, and ironically, one of the few examples I can find of anyone doing any due diligence is actually from KP back in March, when they were talking to Brony Fandone about another victim who'd been handed off to them, and had turned tail and run the minute they were asked difficult questions. And KP even states, yeah, figured I would check, cause God forbid we are wrong. A sentiment which would have been useful to keep in mind when the next day rolled around and she was presented with Emmy's victim story. Emmy would be funneled towards KP through Bonk and Amy. For those wondering who Amy is, the most information I could get is that they are somebody's wife. That's literally it. But apparently they'd known about this since 2015, allegedly. KP would then work with Emmy to get the statement prepared for release. Now, as a clarifier here, there was some editing of this statement, but as I can see it being sent by Brony Fandone, I can confirm that the bulk of Emmy's statement was not guided or influenced by KP. Nevertheless, I was interested to know how much input she had had, and when I set Jenny to work on a little bit of digging, she found the Google Doc that KP had originally put out. Now, because nobody knows how to protect Google documents apparently, Jenny was able to retrieve the edit history, which includes notes from KP intended to guide Emmy in improving the statement.
Oh, Jenny.
This level of...
You know, I've had like 1 or 2 conversations with Jenny finally, and she's like a fucking wizard, dude. It's incredible.
involvement is not apparent in KP's video. She does not make it clear that she has been working closely
No,
with the victim.
it's very easy to get like edit history or like things that are not like usually visible on a Google Doc. Like
before the release of this.
She really knows her way around a computer. Like that's really it.
This allows her in the video to look like an impartial observer, just reporting on these allegations, which is not the case. But once again, I think it is best that you just hear this all from KP. So there was a Google Doc that was posted that you did and put up with her basically her full statement. The one that was also posted on Twitter in screenshots.
Oh, okay.
So
I guess I forgot I did that, but yes.
How much influence did you have on that statement?
I already discussed this with Enter and Lazy. I just gave critique. I gave screenshots. Here, I'll get the screenshots of me giving critique to it.
Diesel, can you ask people to like the stream for me? Scarlet wants me dead. Can you like the stream? All those likes will go directly in the tip jar at the Opbox funeral.
Well, I get them. That's my answer. And Courtney gave feedback as well.
Okay. When you say critique, what are we talking about here?
Flow of things. That's like basic English stuff. Like nothing really. She wrote most of it herself, and I was like, let me put this into paragraphs, and give feedback on like the grammar and the general flow of it. That was really it.
Damn.
Okay, I'm just having a quick read of this. So generally speaking, you were.
I feel like Courtney has really positioned herself as like a professional expert on victims, but like also I don't know. It should listen. Excuse me for being uncouth here, but why is the raped the one that acts as the barometer for all rapes? Being the victim of rape does not mean that you are a rape expert.
In conversations with Emmy, and you were working on the flow of this statement to present something to the public. I mean, I suppose my core question is, why didn't you provide an interview call with Emmy if you kind of had access to that?
She was afraid. I mean, I even asked her if she wanted to verbally read her own testimony in the video, but she was afraid.
She has a master's in rapeology as a diabolical chat.
That people could recognize her because she's a voice actor, her voice. And then I said, well, what if we pitch it down? She says, no, I think people would still be able to recognize it just based on how I speak. And I was like, okay. So
have you seen her unhinged stuff about the fucked up poly relationship, saying she was groomed into marriage? On God, Tails is going through the ringer. I hope Tails finds God, man. Wouldn't being a victim fundamentally bias you? Yeah.
Diesel, she has her degree in rapinomics.
In rapinomics?
You understand that kind of where the way this looks from your video is you have a victim statement that looks far more distant from you than is the reality. And then you have a long conversation with Courtney where you are essentially providing context to how you are seeing this, almost at a distance, which is, I would say, fairly misleading to an audience.
Yeah, the idea with that is I'm just not familiar with essay in general. I believe that you are familiar with Courtney's history. She was someone I trusted, so I just felt like
yeah, I don't even know. I can't even imagine how they took that super chat.
Helpful in a call to talk about it from someone's an SI's survivor's perspective. So that was kind of the intention.
Okay, so I mean, there is another element to this. In that Google document, you are providing editing notes at points where You're saying that...
Yeah, that's probably one of the most damning parts of this stuff with KP, honestly. It's like... That's... Like, you just can't. You just can't provide editing notes on a victim statement. Like, you just can't.
Here's where you should mention this was non-consensual in both those instances.
Yeah, that was I just wanted to make a note to make that clear because that's what she said to me. So
I mean, I'll be honest, what it looks like is that you had somebody come to you with a victim story and then you tailored their victim impact statement, which is quite bad. But I've seen little bits of kind of conversations through Lio where, you know, there's a question with one of the other members of the DA group where it's like, well, should we re-record the interview? And Lio says, well, no, let the interview stand as is. You can provide context afterwards, but the interview should stand as your interview. When you've got something like this, the way it looks to me is you've got, okay, well, this is the statement from the victim. I know that I'm going to use this in a video. How do I make this, like, what are the points that I need to hit with an audience?
Yeah, it's like editing the statement is bad. And then editing the statement and then using the said statement you edited in your video as evidence is really bad.
It's, I mean, not great.
I mean, so was the general critique. I just let them talk and I didn't like ask them, like I'm not really following.
So the general critique is this: you let them talk, and
you
then
let them talk, and then it stands as is. But if you edit a statement that somebody worked on, that's bad.
Took their statement and tailored it to be more impactful for content that you were planning to release.
Yeah, it's you didn't just let them talk; it's that you didn't.
And at the same time, I've got statements from Brony Fandone that you also provided statements to the other DA victims, which was sort of a line to take.
I don't remember.
Oh my god. Remember, this is a 1.25, so I've sped it up a little bit, but those are some rough pauses.
Can you put that screenshot in there? I don't really remember that.
Yeah, give me...
Oh my god.
1 second. It would have been this one.
Like, this is... She's being deliberately malicious, but she thinks she's doing the right thing, right? So she doesn't think she's doing anything wrong. She thinks what she's doing is very just.
Oh, I mean, I just wrote that to be helpful, so he didn't have to do it. And my intention was essentially like, hey, I wrote a thing, change it however you feel fit.
I do not recall.
I do not remember. My trauma made me forget everything.
So that was, and I guess he thought that I was trying to put words into his mouth. And I just like, so things that I assumed were like he had talked to the victim extensively. He didn't, and I didn't know that. So
do you know what trauma is, Diesel? I mean, I hear I caused a lot of trauma to people.
I plead the fifth.
You know, I'm a really scary guy. Ah.
You know, I guess I was the only one that talked to her extensively, besides Amy. Yeah, he's one of my people, or one of the people I need to kind of talk to. But I'm also afraid he's gonna screenshot me out of context again, and you know that's scary as well. So.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, it's partly... I mean, what I run up against is when I see stuff like this, and you said, you know, putting words in people's mouths. The problem is what I've got to go on is kind of like what I can pick through and see, which timeline-wise is there are multiple documents being written, including the large DA document, which had way more victim impact statements, many of which have been pulled entirely. I believe one of them is Jamesy.
Yeah, Jamie also got a...
Rocky BB celebrates 20 months of membership. Pappy, you aren't scary. You're a teddy bear.
I'm scary. I'm scary. It's nice of you to say, but I'm scary.
So that scared him.
Right.
Pull out entirely.
So what I've got in front of me is multiple documents in which there have been many chefs involved in these particular kitchens, and it feels very guided, which is concerning when we're talking about hit pieces, because then how much is influenced not just by the people who may have gone through these things, but by people who are looking to then utilize them. Because Brony Fandone has been going after Black Griffin in this group for years now.
Just to be clear, I had nothing to do with the DA Games documents. Those were written way before I got involved.
You're saying that in the mirror like you're trying to convince yourself. Hey, we gotta,
Okay. Can you?
Sure, Jan, that low-cut tank top disagrees with you. Are we talking like a bear, or are we talking like a gay bear,
Just explain some of these edits in this document, then. Like, what does the highlighted in purple mean?
You don't scare me, but I can pretend it you want.
Thanks. I mean, maybe that's just not really what I want. I feel like I'd feel bad. That's not really what I'm looking for right now. Oh boy. He's masking for chat. We never know the true Diesel.
I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So yeah, it's a placement of things of like bring up the fact that he did not ask for consent here.
Yeah, well, I just gave screenshots that gave more context to that.
Listen, KP, you realize you did something bad, okay? We can't... The diminishing of things is not helpful.
So, I guess it was Courtney's note, because Courtney also gave some feedback on the statement, and
Courtney giving feedback on statements is so funny. Listen, man, the stuff that happened to Courtney sounds very bad, and I wish her the best, but she is definitely in a position. Wild chat! Wild
I'm sure my husband would be fine with it. Smiley face emoji, smiley face emoji, smiley face emoji, smiley face emoji.
But before I was derailed there, I don't even fucking remember what my point was. We're gonna keep going.
Okay. I mean,
I'm
not
joking.
to blame her. No, she.
Problem is that some people in this community aren't. Okay,
Sure. I mean, again, I get this is a collaborative process, and Courtney's not here to sort of give her side of what happened, so I don't want to start just blaming people who aren't around. I suppose at a core level, what and this is why people are focusing on the Saber Spark stuff. What you have is testimony of something that happened over a decade ago, from one person who chose to remain anonymous, who has a long internet history, which is mixed. Again, like, I'm sure that there are two sides to the Emmy story. In fact, a few people are quite interested in the other side of that Emmy story. I've already heard from them.
I'm gonna attempt to get it, because she seems to. I mean, obviously, don't release these screenshots publicly, at least not now without asking.
When people are like, please don't release these screenshots publicly, not doing that is like, sometimes it is the hardest thing ever. So I wonder if these screenshots will show up immediately after. I've received a Discord ping.
Sorry I'm late, Diesel. Can you restart at the beginning?
I think I'm gonna start handing out punch cards for people coming in late and wanting me to restart from the beginning. So that way when you say it 10 times, I actually do restart stream. And then we do it from the top. They don't allow gooning in the lolcow server. I spent it too long. I don't allow gooning in my server since the Goonergate. It's like, what they say, one bad ingredient spoils the broth, right?
But she seems to trust me right now, so for lack of a better word, I'm pretty fucking pissed, and I feel like a dupe that was put on for a ride. But my
Slug would abuse that. His are worth like a half. You allowed gooning in your server? No, I never allowed gooning in my server. I just didn't know that I had to directly say to not goon in the server.
My implication with everything so Bonk came to me with this story because he was having mental health problems at the time and he didn't have the energy
Could be a goal
to deal with it. So my understanding, feel free to ask him, this was going to come out regardless of me.
I'd rather not be associated with something called Goonergate. Neither would I. Take notes, Cameron. Take notes.
So I was just there already making a video about it. So it just seemed
Right,
yeah.
Sure. But
don't give birth in VC either. VC is not a place to give birth. Go do that in your own private server.
This stuff had been building for a while.
Okay, Kat, I'll read your DM now, okay? The loss of KP from the Brony community will be known. My perfect Trojan horse world is crumbling down since the Google Docky. You've had better ones, Kat.
On some of the DA stuff. I can see that from the documents. But this stuff with Emmy seems to have come right out of the blue, right where you needed it, and you seem to not have questioned, shall we say, the good fortune of that happening. You seem to have just gone, oh great, cool, well now I've got something to go at Saber with.
Well, let me clarify. So I would imagine you can ask Amy about this. I don't know how long maybe
on God, the ambulance is coming for KP. She can't survive out here.
She said 2023, I think. But she has known about this for a couple of years. Amy is Peter New's wife, who don't tell her I sent you because she doesn't like me right now. But
well,
she was the one that
I guess now you know.
I originally talked to get in contact with.
Is that the other Pegasus sister or whatever the hell?
No, I don't think Amy has a presence in the fandom.
Okay, because I'm just, even for me, I'm just trying to make sense of who half these people are. Now, it might be slightly hypocritical for me, of all people, to criticize someone else for becoming too involved in a story, but there are lines to this, and getting a victim to edit their impact statement is certainly a line. While KP argues this is to clarify and fill in gaps, these edits read far more as trying to remove any semblance of doubt and emphasize things like the power imbalance. Making sure a victim's impact statement fits more easily with the arguments you're going to make in your video is certainly highly unethical. Within the DM logs between KP and Emmy, KP provides feedback from Courtney Pete. One particular line of interest is, and it sort of kills me that she might be giving any sort of grace to him at the expense of herself, because he considered it implied. And this isn't just a throwaway line, it's intermingled amongst a tirade on how consent works, emphasizing why that line in particular is an issue. It would work, too. Emmy does change her statement because of this feedback. Hey, sorry.
Oh my god.
I removed the part giving him grace by saying I understand he may have thought
Pappy, I'm always joking. Please forgive me.
I know you're joking, okay? Because you're a regular. I've told enough stories on the stream to where it's like, there are people who are joking. I never realized when I made, unironically, I never realized when I just made videos that people thought I was attractive, one. And then two, I didn't realize how many people, if given the opportunity, would jump my bones the instant they saw me. And I went a really long time in my life not knowing that. All right, and it changed my perception of my existence. Name them. I'm not naming them. Whoever called KP female jar was a prophet. I don't know. I feel like she's definitely, I don't know. She's different. Jar's behavior is too different.
Consent was implied. Courtney is definitely right. I just know his retort is going to be him believing consent was there. Courtney is right though. It was never implied, even if I did like him at the time. This is direct evidence that KP and Courtney worked to tailor the victim's statement to make it more damaging.
Yeah, she has her way of holding a grudge is very different though than Jar's, right? Like, Yeah, I think a female Bo Blacks is a much more appropriate way to put it.
And the reason this is an issue is because it's not how Emmy necessarily...
I'll be honest, Diesel, demisexual here. You have a very attractive personality. Thank you.
Sees the situation.
Jar, that is an absolutely brutal chat too. Jar is a taxonomic category all to himself.
It is KP and Courtney trying to influence Emmy to perceive the situation through their lens. If you care about what victims
I've unironic, like, this is something I've seen before where it's like people get in a little group chat and they're like workshopping the statement. That's what happened with the Slazo stuff. Holy shit. Right? But it's just like that. Fuck. There was, do you guys remember the OnlyFans Mean Girls group chat that happened on Twitter a while ago? You guys remember that one? Where all the girlies had like a drama going on and they wanted to like oust one of the other girlies. And so they were going back and forth and like workshopping a statement on one of the chicks that did like OnlyFans. And then she was like outed from their whole like little clique. And that was all over Twitter for a little bit. That was John Swan's final nail in the coffin too. Yeah.
Say, and this story is full of people who don't care what victims have to say. You should respect those original statements. But as if to perfectly encapsulate my point of how fucking careless everyone here is, I went to check the release statement, and that section about implied consent is still present. I thought I was losing my mind for a second because I've read these DMs, so I went back to check, and I'm right. I'm showing you the original statements applied by Emmy to KP, and I've highlighted the word implied. But if we scroll all the way down to her updated statement, and I cannot fucking believe this, it's gone. Emmy did make...
Yeah, the girl was like, it was a social experiment. We were joking. The others were like, no, we weren't.
this edit, but KP is paying so little attention, she didn't even include it in the final document for release. No wonder those involved in this didn't care about the fact that Emmy has no evidence for the allegations she's making. They don't even care about her actual testimony. And don't worry, because this situation somehow becomes more absurd. Because you'll remember, Lio advised KP that this was a matter for the authorities, and they would require at the very least a police statement to be filed if they were planning to run this story. One of the things that got sort of mentioned was Lio's involvement, and I was interested in how far that involvement kind of went. I mean, maybe you can speak to that. It doesn't seem like Lio is, from what I have seen, that involved. He doesn't seem to have seen the video before it came out. I think
oh my god, boring.
Lio said to me,
JFA has not been the same since Now Recording stopped streaming, man. It's been really rough out here for him, okay?
When asked about this particular statement and this victim, his advice was, don't run this. That seems to have been his involvement. And go to the police about stuff. Is that unfair?
I don't remember the don't run this, but yeah, we did have an extensive conversation where
I do believe Lio said something, go to the police first. I think that was like exactly what he said in the voice clip that was played earlier.
We recommended that she go to the police and get a police report first. And she didn't want to...
The don't run this was when I told you shouldn't put this in a video.
Okay.
Because a police report wasn't filed. That's what he's referring to.
Okay, well that's why we released it on Twitter first to
I like to think that Lio is like busy building gunpla while this is happening.
Kind of have it
well, I don't know if that helps, because that, if anything, makes it worse, KP, because it looks like you've gone, oh, we don't have a police report, but if this is gaining traction on Twitter, then I can put it in a video you are already making with a victim you are already speaking to.
A Twitter post is a lot like a police report in many ways. Okay, you might be thinking what the ways are. I haven't figured them out yet, but KP thinks so. So I'm sure she'll figure it out.
I don't really have a response to that.
How many Americans can be tricked into anything by a British? You know, honestly, I do think a British accent is like a buff for these kind of things.
Okay.
That is what Bonk said. Yes.
It's like so what I'm running up against here is there are going to be multiple sort of views on this video, from everything from stupidity to malice. I don't know where I sit with that at the moment, I'll be honest, because, you know, I know you by your own admission do not like this group of people. You have a history with them. you were handed stuff that was you couldn't substantiate from years ago, and you know, you use that to make essentially rape by coercion argument against somebody without even speaking to Saber about it. I mean, it's pretty fucking wild, frankly.
No, I get it.
Dejected sigh. I understand.
No, I was just stupid and I wanted to. She came to me. She, like, Bonk already knew I was making this video. It just seemed like another victim testimony to add, like the DA Games one.
It is not. It's like it is really 3 separate videos shoehorned into one, and a line of action drawn between each of them by association, right? You're like, Chris is guilty because Chris works for Saberspark. Saberspark did this thing. Saberspark is related to DA Games via another third party, right? And it's just like, that's the only connection between each of those stories. Like, maybe the Saberspark thing can be its own story on its own. The Chris thing was like, you could handle that on your own, right? And then the DA Games stuff, when it was originally happening, I was looking at it and I was like, this is interesting. But it's like, you've spoiled the broth. Like what are we supposed to do?
Unsurprisingly, when we're dealing with a community that just repeats things they've heard over and over again until they somehow become true, even when it is, once again, life-ruining accusations, KP and others, and we're about to get to those people, worked on the assumption that once this was out on Twitter, coverage of it was fair game. But to be clear, in the DMs, KP is scheduling this with Brony Fandone, and the statement itself...
Oh, brother.
Even goes out early.
And that's outrageous, right? Because this is kind of like using Brony Fandone as this like cudgel to set the narrative, which is even worse.
It has to be removed. Despite how fucked up all of this is, the level of incompetence is unironically just fucking hilarious. Predictably, once the video had been released and the backlash was in, these little...
What program are those screenshots from? I mean... seems like they're Discord, but it's weird because it's saying like like these look like modded. Yeah, it looks like a modded Discord.
Rats started fleeing the sinking ship.
I'll have to ask Beckett. I know he went to bed, but I'll ask him about that.
Pretty interesting. But we'll get to his section in a little bit. However, one thing I want to point out is this tweet from May 5th, where Fandone says, I talked with her in call about the problems. She told me she was surprised by the reactions because her team and the victim viewed it prior and liked it. I did not realize at the time that she was lying. Well, I can prove that in this case at least, KP wasn't.
What was the question?
Emmy did
the Discord screenshots, or like what looks like Discord screenshots, like they're weird. Like the whole it has like GMT and stuff here, right? Or like dates.
She was lying. Well,
yeah, it looks like a hybrid or something,
KP wasn't.
Right? Because it says Thursday, April 10th, 2025, 15:39:33 GMT. Oh! Is it like an exported format? Like they did the thing that like pulls Discord messages and puts them in HTML? Yeah, it's the way KP downloaded them and how it was transferred from what I know.
Okay. Shit like post and edit dates.
Yeah, because you can. There's a plugin that lets you pull all your Discord messages and then have them as HTML.
Because Emmy did see the video and had a positive.
More fruit. Okay. You guys get more fruit. I'm a generous god. Okay. There you go, chat.
Reaction to it. Before we move forward though, I do think it is valuable that you hear something that isn't just my opinion or KP's own statements. And one person who's known this group of people for a significant period of time is Henry, Saberspark's editor. Let's talk about KP and your experiences with her.
Sure.
How did you first get to meet KP?
Through the convention scene. So going to different conventions, basically she would either be a panelist or a guest. She would show up to these cons, and even back in the early days, it was kind of, everyone was trying to be friends together and establish relationships. But you would find that there were some people that just, you weren't necessarily vibing with, or that they weren't on the same wavelength. So KP was one of those individuals early on to me that I just got a sense of entitlement and a sense of, her demeanor was very off-putting. So a lot of people...
Her demeanor was very off-putting. There's nothing more like... It's such an adult way of describing why you don't like someone. Saying this person is off-putting.
Kind of created this, mindset, like, don't necessarily include KP if she's trying to wedge her way into panels and or, scenes on these convention floors and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I have firsthand experience of times where I've had to kind of, create that wall for her to just say, like, don't try to, come into our space because, you have the sense that, like, nepotism, or not nepotism, what is it? Narcissism? Yeah, like narcissism is strong with her.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Can you give me some examples of some experiences you guys have just had with KP over the years? Because I know, Saber mentioned their relationship in the response, and I think it would be helpful for people to get that picture.
Yeah. So, well, a first-hand experience would be, so at Equestria LA 2017, we had a bad fanfic reading panel. KP showed up. She was sitting in the front row, kind of heckling.
You'll notice a very stark difference in how everyone talks compared to the terminally online people. Yeah.
Telling us the whole time, saying, hey, let me go up on stage. Just trying to kind of wedge her way into this thing where we had to, get prior approval to get this panel approved. We had the people who are panelists on that panel. She has done this many times where it's kind of, she thinks she knows best or that she should be included and tries to wedge her way in. Other experiences that, I wasn't necessarily firsthand for. She was at Cider Fest, and a artist named Jen Blake had a booth in the vendor hall. KP, trying...
The Jen Blake situation with trying to use her booth for getting commissions happened at Midwest Brony Fest. It was relayed to me at Cider Fest. So I believe it happened at the same convention.
To talk to Jen, positions herself kind of behind the vendor table. And as Jen is taking on commissions and, interacting with guests who are there for her, KP wedges herself in and says, oh, I'd be willing to, take some commissions, if you guys want from me. And
that's a rough.
Kind of almost like trying to funnel business away from the actual comic artist that works on IDW's, MLP comics. And I could tell that Jen was very uncomfortable about the whole situation and kind of made it clear that, KP was not welcome to be there anymore. Because, she just didn't have, this concept of what she was doing was wrong. And she has many instances of that. I mean, I can even point to another one where it's more of a private thing. So it's not necessarily something where I'm going to say I had firsthand experience, but I heard the story. So she moved to California, and who was it? Rachel Bloom was having a show within LA, and she's a well-known individual, kind of has a awards and history, and I can see the appeal of wanting to go to say a Rachel Bloom show. She's a fan. The problem is that KP kept telling people that she had an in or some sort of connection to talk to Rachel Bloom, and she really wanted to go to the show to kind of hand over her portfolio and see if they could work together on stuff. Well, she lied about that. She never actually had a connection with Rachel Bloom. She just knew that the show was going to happen, and she was going to kind of more or less spring it on her at the end and just wait outside the stage door to give her things.
Oh boy.
But when people asked her, hey, how do you have a connection with this? How did you broker this deal? She's lying the whole time, saying, oh well, I have a way to get to her and talk to her about this stuff, and I just want to see if she wants to work on this project, a video project. And yeah,
I'm sure she knew she was wrong, but perfected playing ignorance and self-importance. Yeah. This is cringe though. Doing this with people is rough.
It's example.
Yeah, that's the same method Jake Doolittle used for Ethan.
After example, Casey and I, well, mainly Casey, tried really hard when she first moved to LA to be a mentor for her. I had already had my prior experience with her, so I had written her off kind of as, I'll believe it when I see it, her attitude change and her demeanor change. But when she moved to LA, she was very much in the mindset of, hey, I want to kind of start over. I want to, be better. So Casey offered to be her mentor and pointed out many times where it was hey, you can't kind of act this way towards people. You need to also be mindful that, if people don't want to be friends with you, you don't have that right to say, you need to be friends with me. The narcissism part, rearing his head. I would just say that KP had many examples of another individual who she had beef with was AC Race Best.
Jesus Christ, so this guy, because you know, this character has also gotten like tons of shit from the community, because this is the guy where his wife is like a little like younger than him or whatever, from what I remember. I don't want to accidentally misattribute that to someone. But people are like, you're a pedophile because there's a bit of an age gap between him and his wife, but they didn't get together until like they were both legal adults anyway. And there was no like sign of like grooming or anything like that. So everybody constantly goes out of their way to do that, but they used to be like homies with KP.
He basically said, I don't want to be friends with you long time ago. I think Casey, you know,
this isn't Black Griffin. Oh my god, there's so many fucking characters in this one.
Reach out and try to get to the bottom of why they never could be friends. He gave her a detailed response as to why, his reasons, and she lashed out. She basically started cursing him out, sending him a long message. I'm sure there is a chat log out there that could actually be presented for that. But it goes to show that she definitely has had both a beef with Steven and other individuals who haven't kind of, in her mind, lifted her up with them. You know, they became successful, and she saw it as, why not me? Her content in the community as a whole was kind of lackluster, or like, you know, it got views, but
I'll be home eventually. I'll give you smooches and a character indexed. I need a dramatis personae, okay? I need a Shakespearean layout of who everybody is.
As soon as, you know, she kind of wanted...
Okay, yeah. Henry is Saber Spark's editor, okay.
To shift away from that, she couldn't pivot in a way where her content was thriving. So I think she very much internalized a lot of this, like, why is it that Steven was able to do that with Saberspark? Why is it that other individuals are able to make their livelihood, you know, work for them? So, yeah, those are just some of the examples.
Firstly, you wanted to add a correction for Henry, for the Race Best story.
Oh, yeah. I never advised Rachel to contact Jeffrey at all. I talked to her after she had lashed out, and I was not happy with her, and I told her as much. This is all very just disappointing and sad for me personally. So I'm sorry if I sigh quite a bit. I pointed out that they have very little in common other than liking one TV show in the whole world. And what is her deal with wanting to be friends with this one guy? And she didn't have a very good answer for me. She struggled with that. She literally stammered to the point where I don't actually remember what she said. It wasn't very substantial. But no, I did not tell her to reach out to Jeff. He told me that she lashed out, and you could probably tell the story of how frustrated I was with her because I went to bat for Rachel. And I had told people that moving to LA had caused her to grow and mature as a person. It is difficult. The entertainment industry is difficult, let's be real. And she was trying, and I thought maybe it would have given her some life perspective that she had lacked before. And then she went and...
It's so rough to be an adult and put yourself out for someone like this, and for them to just completely fumble the bag and make you look like an asshole in the same breath.
Made me out to be a liar, and I was super not happy with her about that.
Like, I mean, is it fair to...
Boy, been there.
Say that this is the end of any industry contact she had left. That essentially it's destroyed any...
Yeah, some people can't accept they aren't as talented as their peers. They lash out and become problem makers. Yeah, it's just... it's like you've seen the story of KP before, right? Like, the personal life story with her is just... She just didn't really have that much to offer a lot of people. The problem is she was spending so much time trying to solicit things from other people, and she wasn't trying to, like, work or build on herself.
Remaining friendship she had.
That's... As far as my sphere, that's pretty accurate. I know that people that I know that if I say something, I mean it. And I did tell everyone. I posted the link to my Twitter and I said, this is my stance. I just want all of you to know. And I already knew that a lot of our mutuals had put her on the information.
Why does the pony soda not have legs? The legs are off screen, I guess. Okay. Or maybe it's like a hummingbird, okay?
Diet. So, like, did this do it? I don't think so. She'd already dug the grave.
She's a seahorse. Okay.
Just the last pile of dirt. As far as industry contacts, What did she have?
Before we move forward, I want to add a little disclaimer here, because we're going to talk about the other people who were involved in this. And I don't want this to come across as some sort of exoneration of KP and Courtney. It's just that there are other people involved with blood on their hands. Since the video came out, a lot of people have been trying to use—
Every pony has blood on their hands. Oh my god. Look at my handsome husband, chat.
Use them as scapegoats, understandably. But realistically speaking, many of these people should not be feeling particularly smug right now. There are obviously levels of blame to go around, but one particular group— and
yeah, I heard about Courtney's crash out. We probably won't get to that on this stream, but this is what I'm gonna be consuming. I'm gonna consume this slop for a little bit. I need new slop.
Is people who have also run allegations fed to them by Brony Fandone. Because, realistically, they've done exactly the same thing as KP did, they've just been lucky about it. And this little group can be perfectly encapsulated through one particular YouTuber, Lazy Bedhead. The reason we're starting here, of all places, is because—
Gee, Diesel, why does God let you have more than one husband? Because I'm pretty. Boss man, what's your pony Sona? I do believe Beetlepins drew fan art of me as a pony. Hold on, I'll pull it up. I do have Brony fan art. I've had multiple pony Sonas drawn of me over the years. Beetlepins did a really cute one. I literally was just staring at it.
Would you ever check the your boyfriend situation?
What the fuck is the your boyfriend situation? Oh, what is that? Holy shit. Fuck, I gotta go find it. You know who I think sent it to me? I think I know who sent it to me. Or has image. There was a few things re-sent to me too recently. There was the candle incident one. The candle incident one was pretty rough. I am not gooning in that. To be clear. I know it looks like that, but I'm not. Let's see. Here was here was some this was a picture Cloudy took with my with the plushie of me. The your boyfriend situation is about game developers who groomed a child and whose husband allegedly raped the group. Why's everything gotta be rape? Okay, I thought this was the commentary community, not the rape review community. Let one thing not be a rape. Too many things. It's hard to find things amongst all these things. Now I'm from there was one I literally had on the thumbnail of the stream that I can't find, which is why I'm looking for it. Well, you know what? Here, there was also a police diesel that Cat did. Diesel, Diorio mentioned that you sell coffee recently on stream. Maybe last night. I dropped the name in his chat. Poor Diorio. He's going through it.
On levels of culpability, Just believing a document that's handed to you is something that, generally speaking, a lot of YouTubers do, trusting that the vetting has already been done for them. In fact, this is KP's defense for why she fucked this up. She believed that Brony, Fandone, and Amy had already vetted Emily. Now, is this incredibly dumb? Of course it is. But my annoyance comes from the fact that it's shockingly common in this story.
Pinky and would ask Pinky if she liked a picture of his penis. Destiny would straight up delete the Twitter account associated with this interaction and wouldn't rediscover Black Griffin until years later, when he voiced Alistair in the Hasbin Hotel pilot. Destiny also addressed the creators of Billy Bust Up, which we can discuss later. Now, since this was when Destiny was 13 years old, hindsight is 2020, so none of the
that was the one I was looking for. Hold on, let me go back.
penis. Destiny would straight up delete the Twitter account associated with this interaction and wouldn't rediscover Black Griffin until years later, when he voiced Alistair in the Hasbin Hotel pilot. Destiny also addressed the creators of Billy Bust Up, which we can discuss later. Now, since this was when Destiny was 13 years old, hindsight is 2020, so
why is there so many of these? There unironically is more drawings of me as a pony than me as a goblin. All right, more people have drawn me as a horse. More people have drawn me as a fucking horse. What does that say about this community, man? What is going on? You're very ponyable. Hey, I drew you as both. That's true. That's true. There was time to become a centaur. There was this one by community member Majunga. It's like the Pim. Like, holy shit, this one is really good. What are you? Can I show this on stream? You drew this on a piece of paper. This is like, this is not okay. Okay, so here's the accused Black Griffin. Black Griffin is married to Claire Brown, friends with Saber Spark. Black Griffin's friends with Saber Spark, and they're also friends with Michelle, who's also friends with Saber Spark. Okay. KP is former friends with Casey, who's friendly with Saber Spark. Henry is the editor. I might refer back to this. Okay? I might refer back to this. Who's Amuga New? Accused of grooming Black Griffin? I did this in like 1 minute. Yeah, this is the Pepe Sylvia thing, man. This is the Pepe Sylvia thing. All right, this is holy shit. Well, now this makes complete sense to me.
documented or screenshots taken. So
1 minute's wasted.
For now, these are just allegations from memory. Although I do think this testimony coming
We need to draw Diesel and Falgi in the Pepe Sylvia meme. God.
forward does sort of confirm the sneaking suspicion that people have had about Gabe for
one.
years up until this point. Source from Courtney Pete's own.
Hold on. Where was it? I saved the fan art you guys give me too, so. This is a wild one that Lunar did of me. Raku-chan squeezing the squirrel between her tits. I've used the pony art unironically, yeah. An alarming amount of fruits. There we go. Can I make an edit of you, Diesel? Like, do you consent? I always consent to all of that. For real. So, there are people, Slug, who come into chat and are like, Diesel, can I draw you? Can you be drawn pregnant? And it's like, yes, go ahead. There actually is. Hold on. There is actually a drawing. There is a. Hold on. Let me find it. More Diesel sexy man clips. I missed D&D because I was on my date with Falgy. Okay. And as a result of that, hold on. I'm just gonna throw it in here. There we go. And then I need to clone this, and then there we go. I made it I made it a sticker. I made it a sticker in the server. Hold on. Here. And now I'll there we go. Omegaverse moment. You look like any of my friends' dads. Beer belly or pregnant, you decide. Oh my god.
Video, she interviews 2 individuals who have been a part of the Brony community and convention spaces for years. Even they have testified that con staff and community members had speculated of Gabriel's grooming relationship.
Explain the reason the MPreg exists. Okay, so because I was late for... Okay, I canceled 10 minutes before D&D. And because I canceled 10 minutes before D&D, Hal was like, draw Diesel pregnant, Kat. And then Kat said, your wish is my desire, my queen. And Kat did that.
Relationship with Claire for decades.
Now this requires us to talk a little bit about the Black Griffin allegations. I don't want to go too deep here because it is a hell of a rabbit hole, so we're going to focus on the Destiny allegations in particular. To give you a TLDR, Destiny claims that in 2012 she interacted with Gabe, and during those interactions, while she was a minor, Gabe would flirt with her and also offer her a dick pic. Much like the allegations against Saber Spark, there is no evidence for this. And even in the document, it is noted that it can't have been in 2012, because Twitter didn't even add the function to send pictures in DMs until December of 2013. And yet Lazy Bedhead uses the fact the allegations even exist in the first place to try and label Black Griffin a predator. And I'd like you to keep in mind here that Fandone themselves admits that they don't have proof behind the Destiny allegations. In fact, they were using the...
Anyone who wants to send fan art should do it through Discord because it's dead, so he'll definitely see it. That's crazy. I miss having Hal and Kat stop by. They're literally sitting in VC right now with some of my mods. I guarantee you they were playing a game. I would bet money they were playing something like Repo right now.
Those allegations in an attempt to gay up and blackmail Black Griffin. When that didn't work, they released them anyway. And yes, I can already hear the scratching in my comment section. But Beckett, Black Griffin is a well-documented groomer. I'm not saying that Black Griffin isn't a groomer. I don't...
Diesel, can Hal visit more? I miss her too.
No. Certainly some of his interactions are pretty fucking weird, particularly the DeviantArt posts. But when we look through allegations like this, you need to have some kind of smoking gun. I showed you screenshots earlier of Grizzly the medic. In that instance, you have Grizzly, a security guard at BronyCon who tried to get a 12-year-old to come up to their hotel room.
That Grizzly, that's insane. I thought we were talking about someone else. Whoopsie, she and I are chill, blah, blah, blah. You gotta look out for step, blah, blah, blah. I'm not worried. I'm a decent human. I won't go, yo, bitch, let's go bowling. I'd go, get in the car, nerd. We're going bowling. You know what? Honestly, this is bad grooming Riz. Dude, how do you be? Listen, you're literally a pedophile. You think you can't put on some more alpha energy, buddy? Okay, I put you in the locker.
DMs acknowledging someone's age.
That is something Jar would say. Oh my god. You know, I'm a nice guy. I would not say, yo, bitch, let's go bowling, okay? I would say, get in the car, my nerd. We're going heckin' bowling for science.
And continue.
To explain how schizo some of the Black Griffin stuff is, they called him a pedo because he took pictures of getting Girl Scout cookies.
To have
on God, you can't even eat no gosh dang Girl Scout cookies anymore.
Explicit conversations with them in their DMs. Well, Gabe,
it is criminal to like Thin Mints.
Gabe is weird. Very, very weird. This has apparently been going on for a decade, and no one has a smoking gun. And to be clear, this isn't just internet stuff. Projects that Black Griffin and his wife have worked on are targeted. There is a massive public campaign to have this guy removed from any project that associates with him, all of which is based on the schizophrenic ramblings of Fandone. Now originally, this section was much longer and way more pissed off. I actually included Anthony Grimoglia giving a defense of Lazy Bedhead just to provide some kind of balance, but I have since spoken to her at length both about the Saber Spark allegations and the wider story involving Black Griffin, and as much of this section was direct—
I'm not sure if it was said, but the Lazy video was privated. Probably for the best.
Pointedly towards her, that feels a little bit redundant at this point. However, just because I've spoken to Lazy doesn't mean I don't have massive criticisms for this video, so I just want to run over them in a slightly calmer, more chilled out tone. One of my major issues, in fact probably my main issue with this story, is the fact that nobody really vetted or checked anybody before running things. For example, Courtney Pete and by extension Lazy Bedhead used Sophie Scruggs as an expert on this community, but Scruggs is not a passive observer. We'll get to her section later, but all you need to know for the moment is Brony Fandone is not just one person. Sophie Scruggs has access to that account and has regularly posted from it. The reason this is all missed is because the information Lazy Bedhead has on Brony Fandone largely comes from the Gabe defense documents. While Lazy Bedhead, to her credit, does condemn this information because Fandone is a complete freak, she does post this updated pinned comment, stating that Fandone has largely moved on from these opinions they held when they were a minor. Lazy would explain to me that she posted and pinned this comment due to the fact she was getting pushback from Fandone defenders, and she largely just wanted them to shut the fuck up. But to be clear, Fandone has continued to defend his consumption of pornography depicting underage furry characters.
This is so mentally ill. This is like beyond like Could you imagine trying to explain this to somebody who's not already terminally online?
In March of this year, Fandone would post an incredibly long schizo thread about their history.
It was massively
with the
disappointed to see. Lazy
which...
has done some great research in her vids, like the Carol the Wolf documentary. Her BG video has brought a lot of her past work into question for me, though. I mean, I think people are allowed to make mistakes. It's clear that Lazy is eating crow for it. So if they eat crow and then move on, I think they should be like allowed to. But I mean, it was bad, but you know, you privated the video, you correct the record, like it is what it is. And you know, they spoke with Beckett too.
He includes these comments. If no one is hurt, then it isn't an issue. I can't hurt Noelle, and it doesn't represent me or how I am with.
The current Fandone state of affairs is Sophie Scruggs runs the Twitter version, and Bonk runs the Blue Sky. The Blue Sky one is Sephiroth posting every few days.
If anything, it stems from my...
Yeah, she can move on, but it's up to the viewers to see if they take their videos at their word now. Yeah, I don't know how much credence or credibility people should lend YouTubers, myself included, for everything, right? I don't know. It's just, it's kind of hard for anything to be... I know this sounds insane, but there's so much fake shit on the internet now that I don't even know what you would or wouldn't believe. So it's like, if you take somebody's video out at its word, that's fine. Like, we can't walk through life knowing literally everything at every moment. But in the same breath, it's just like, if you're doing okay stuff and you correct the record, that's really what's important.
Own situation when I was a minor. Psychology is complicated. I know what's in my brain. I know I have no attraction.
The real question I think you should ask about the prior, like, Lazy stuff is what of the videos, like you're saying, Midge, right? It's not even that if she's willing to accept bad info. It's like what her bias changes in the video. Because with all coverage, there's like a bias to it. Anybody who says they're 100% objective is they're lying, okay? If I really care, I do my own research. Yeah, I mean, that's really it for a lot of this stuff. I think even with my drama, right, where it's like people had strong opinions, but then nobody was looking into it, right? So it's like they could just say something and then not correct it. So it's just, it's out there, right? But then you have people
So
like
what you're
Emrau who are
saying is
looking
I
into
shouldn't
it.
take your word for it when you insist you're straight and not bi.
That's a different thing. That's a different thing. That's not related to this kind of thing. Those are two different things in two different worlds, okay? But yeah, it's just like people don't want to look into things, which is fine because you're never going to be an expert in everything. But that means you will have to defer on some things in life to other people. And that is also okay, right? You can't be an expert at everything. Nah, I know everything. I'm him. I'm different. I'm built better. I'll show you.
To children or animals. Noelle is neither to me in my head. An issue here is simply that Lazy doesn't use Twitter, and therefore never caught this. This lack of vetting isn't just me bitching about standards.
Why am I Diesel's #1 fan? I honestly, genuinely do not know how it works.
It has quite serious implications for these wider stories. Fandone, whether you like it or not, is at the center of these allegations. His documents are the main sources of them, and when it comes to Saberspark, he has been pushing to find something on Saberspark, once again, for years. If the allegations against Black Griffin are true, Fandone's involvement is a major disservice to any victims involved. Because now, all that is really required to deflect these allegations is to point to the crazy motherfucker who's been the driving force behind them. Some people might say that this position is dismissive, but you have to keep in mind, in a story like this, where there is no evidence for anything, your currency is credibility. The vast bulk of the evidence, quote-unquote, against these people is bollocks. It simply doesn't hold up to any reasonable level of scrutiny. All of this is made worse by the fact that you're not asking me or anybody else to trust the victims.
Diesel, do you fuck with Thai tea? I don't know if I've ever had Thai tea, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, you know, I enjoy a good milk tea, a good bubble tea, even. I like... Here, you want me to... Now I'm actually clip farming, okay? No, never mind. I changed my mind. I changed my mind. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. I do like boba tea, yeah. God. But yeah, I mean, it's like you can't, when it comes to any kind of video on the internet or any person, it's like you're not gonna know everything all of the time. So, like, you're going to have to defer to people who are making videos. Unless you want to be a crazy person and spend your entire time researching everything on, like, a expose video for your own personal satisfaction. But, like, at that point, you might as well just make a video yourself. You might as well join the conversation if you're going to put so much work into it, right?
Asking us to trust people like Courtney Pete, KP, Brony Fandone, and Sophie Scruggs.
You enjoy booba tea. And if you want some booba tea, you can get it from manapotioncoffee.com. Use code D10 at the checkout. So true. Go to manapotioncoffee.com. What the fuck? Why, who's doing why is this on here? Wait a second. When did we... I actually don't know what's happening. I need to do some product photography for those. Diesel, you should start carrying milk tea. Wouldn't I need milk then? I don't know how you make milk tea.
All of whom exist on a spectrum somewhere between incredibly fucking stupid and deeply malicious. In the conclusion of her video, Lazy Bedhead says that she doesn't actually like making videos like this, part of the reason being that creators are waiting for the next big expose for views and clicks and likes. And despite everything, I do kind of believe her. I don't view Lazy as actually malicious, and part of the reason for that is Anthony.
Mommy milk tea? I don't think my brother would allow me to put that on. Do you actually have... No, I do not have boba tea. How raven-proof would you say your products are? I don't. How raven-proof do you feel a bag is?
Because as he points out the nuances, I realized what really annoyed me about this video is the fact that she takes the Destiny allegations and the allegations from another unnamed 13-year-old claiming that Gabe also offered to send her a dick pic, again with no evidence for this, and treats them as gospel. She says that this is evidence that Gabe is a groomer. This shows us who he is. I don't think she'd be dumb enough to do that unless she genuinely believed that to be the case. So for all my criticisms of this video, again, I don't think she's just maliciously going after these people. However, that question of malice is a very interesting one. And while many people, I think fairly, believe that KP's primary motivation comes from her petty grudges that she's been clinging onto for over a decade, this feels like a nice segue onto the other group of people, who seem to have realized that KP is so blinded by her own insane biases that she presented the perfect vector to litigate their own petty grievances. Let's talk about this elusive Amy New. When I first introduced her to you, I said she was just somebody's wife, and while that sounds flippant, it's actually a very good description, because Amy's claim to fame is being married to Peter New, the voice of Big Macintosh. For those of you who have
This is outrageous. What is it? This is insane. Have you guys read the infamous fan fiction Sweet Apple Massacre? Have you guys read that? It's a grim, dark My Little Pony fan fiction, where I do believe Big Macintosh eats the other ponies.
No idea who or what that is. I deeply envy you. But he's basically a main secondary character from MLP. So if you're wondering why Amy scuttled away so quickly, it's probably because
it is a classic. It is a classic.
Being involved in leveling unsubstantiated rape allegations against somebody might not be the best look publicly. But Amy has known and been involved with this group of people for over a decade. And while I'm not quite clear on the mechanics of how this worked, she was certainly one of the people handing over Emily to KP for this expose. Now, I didn't reach out to Amy personally, but Angry Slug did, and I was quite interested in what she had to say.
Oh
so
my god, Slug. I actually find it kind of astounding how this guy is able to get into like every interview imaginable, man.
A copy of those DMs. Now, there's nothing in here that's particularly interesting, but it does confirm her involvement, and the fact that she is very much trying to push the blame onto KP. And from the DMs with Fandone, it seems very clear that they were also very much in contact. You'll also see later that Amy and Sophie Scruggs seem to have a pretty good relationship, so the idea that she was just a passive bystander concerned for her friend is absurd. As a final late addition, right before publication, I was made aware of one other bit of correspondence with Amy, because Mr. Enter would also reach out to Amy, and she'd give the statement that she found out about this on the 25th of March, which would mean, timeline-wise, Amy was told about this, immediately gave the information to Fandone.
It's me.
Who immediately passed it on to KP. Now this is all a little bit weird for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Amy would come out in support of the statement from Emmy on Twitter, saying that they've been friends for over a decade, and that she was at Canterlot Gardens, confirming that she had seen Emmy and Saber Spark together. The statement of, I have nothing to gain from this, I just want my friend to be believed, is also complete insanity considering Amy's wider involvement in this. Once again, to say nothing of the validity of Emily's accusations, Amy presents herself like she's not involved and knew nothing about this before publication. Or, alternatively, this could also be read as though it was a rumor that had been going around for years that was finally being outed. And I'm sure some version of the truth exists within all this obfuscation, but these people are just so fucking manipulative. One thing about this story which I find pretty amusing, though overall quite frustrating, is that the side that's so concerned about transparency have all refused to speak to anyone the minute things got difficult for them. Now this presents a bit of a problem. I don't know people like Amy. All I've got to go on is fragments of information. But to be clear, just because they won't speak to me doesn't mean nobody did. And thanks to the excellent...
The ginger part of him jump scares me. The ginger part of him.
work of Opblock, after his response video, I was put in touch with Saberspark. Now that conversation I had with Saberspark is unfortunately off the record. He doesn't feel comfortable at the moment coming out and making random public statements, and I'll be honest, I do respect that decision. However, I still need to know about these people, and from the other side, I accept the criticism.
No, Beckett's not even Irish. Beckett is South African.
Of it would be nice to hear from people. So please allow me to solve that problem for you.
I didn't skip your moment.
Record. He doesn't feel with Saberspark. Now that conversation I had with Saberspark is unfortunately off the record. He doesn't feel comfortable at the moment coming out and making random public statements. And I'll be honest, I do respect that decision. However, I still need to know about these people, and from the other side, I accept
all Irish or gingers. Disavow that chat. Disavow.
The criticism of, it would be nice to hear from people. So please, allow me to solve that problem for you.
He told me he was Irish. He told me he was South African. There's no way that this man is racially ambiguous.
Because I sat down to have a conversation with the voice actress of Sweetie Belle from My Little Pony.
I had conversations with Sweetie Belle, bro. What is going on?
The wife of Black Griffin, Claire. Let's go in levels. Can we start with...
Dude, she's in the room when it happened.
With Amy New.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell me about Amy New and why she is why the wife of the voice actor for Big Macintosh is somehow involved in attacking your sort of, I guess, circle?
All right. I will tell you all the things that I know about her. I know.
I'm joking. Not all gingers are Irish. Yes. I knew you were joking. It's funnier to like pretend it was real though.
I'm like, I don't know. I'm hesitant to say things, but at the same time, I feel like I've been so polite and nice for so long that I think I don't feel like being polite and nice anymore. So there's my.
Don't matter, bro. The Irish Rabbithole is still gonna turn you into a concubine. It's wild. It's actually just a Catholic priest, okay? It's totally different.
Grain of salt before I say what I'm gonna say. I don't know where the switch was with Amy. I don't know if my...
I love the Irish, don't get it twisted. I love the Irish followed by don't get it twisted. Sounds like a, I'm not racist, but...
own father has talked to either of them. But I do know that my dad has reached out to people that I've worked with and warned them about me when I had told my parents that, you know, I was in a relationship with Gabe. And this is when I was almost 20. I don't know when the swap or switch was for Amy. I had met her a few times before. I knew she was married to Peter New. I think I can't
her dad was going before her to places she would work and blackballing her.
Remember a whole lot.
Yeah, and her father is the voice actor for Goku.
About her, but I don't know. I don't know. She's like kind of mixed up in the fan world, and she came first as a fan to my knowledge.
Yes. Her dad A-logs her. Yes, and tries to keep her out of places because of her relationship with her husband.
She was a fan first.
And yeah, sorry guys, ruining Ocean Dub Goku. Okay.
And then she just kind of started dating Peter.
What the fuck is the Ocean Dub of Goku? What do you like the one that they play in like on Christmas Island?
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And she was kind of like a fan of My Little
Canada's Goku
Pony and a fan of Peter, and then started dating. And I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, I didn't really think much of it at the time. I didn't really care. As an adult looking back on that situation, I also know that I'm pretty sure that Amy has, like, publicly stated before at some point that she was just, like, really concerned for me because she had kind of alluded to, I was a grooming victim and I didn't know, and I was smart and I was, you know, in love and I knew what that was like, and I just feel really bad for her. And I'm like, why do people freaking keep saying this about me? Like I'm some idiot that, and this is the thing too, like, even if I get frustrated about it, people are like, oh, I understand that you're so angry. Like, you're a very, like, you know, it doesn't mean that you're stupid. You can be a smart person.
The Ocean Dub was where the over 9,000 meme came from. Oh, okay.
And get in a situation like that, I'm like, yeah. And I freaking know what that's like because that was my family situation. And I hate it when people say that to me as if I don't know what that's like. And one day I'll figure it out. One day I'll figure out that I've been groomed. And I'm sitting here like, nobody knows that I've basically already been through this. You know, people talk about grooming in this non-sexual way, which is so funny because I'm like, why the frick would I be groomed non-sexually into a marriage? What's the marriage for? Shaking hands? Like, what the hell?
This lady is so pissed. She is rightfully pissed, by the way, but her anger about this is really interesting because this is like she's kind of just like a normal person. Like she is eating. I know Queen is serving right now.
It just doesn't make any sense. But I hesitate to use the word groomed just because I hate it so much at this point. But I have had a lot of conditioning for other things in my life that once I became 18 and realized and gave myself some authority in my own life, oh, I'm not going to do this just because.
So important to note, Claire was raised as a child actor in VA since she was around 9. She is tired of people seeing her as a cartoon. Damn.
Because this person says so. Just because this person is in my family and is telling me blah, 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 doesn't mean that I have to do that anymore. And so
it's like that's the struggle of like being a child actor, right? And then obviously if your parents are actors, they're gonna want to have that control over you, right? So finally getting autonomy to make a decision and like get married and try and live your life is a really important step. To have your parents come back around from behind and try to basically unravel that is just so fucked.
Anyway, to make a long story short, there are I think it's really funny that Amy is somebody who is saying this kind of stuff. She wouldn't know. Started off very, I feel bad for her vibes. And then immediately went to, I'm blocking you. You're a danger. And I'm paraphrasing here, but that is the vibe that is being directed.
And it's crazy for these people to act so vitriolic too, because it's like, this is like a job where like, imagine you go into the voice recording booth and then you see like your homie that you had a falling out with, like right across the hallway. Like if it was something as serious as this, I'd be like, I would be throwing hands
towards me now. And I think that's also really...
People can't comprehend that MLP to these voice actors was just a job. Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of people get very parasocial about that. I mean, Jesus Christ, it was the MLP, it was a huge fandom.
Funny, considering Peter New is somebody who has said inappropriate things about girls who are underage. And that is just laughable to me. And I feel like every single person who is the most like loudly outspoken people about this situation are people who've got...
I'm sorry, I just noticed Cataclysm's new video where she's beefing with Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson is somebody we've talked about on the on Internet Explorers before, but he's fuck, what's his name? What's the show he's runs? He is unironically like I think an actual fascist. The only people who would listen to him, by the way, are like the worst kind of people. All right, so it's just Cataclysm giving any credence to anything he says is just really funny. Okay, because it's just there's no reason for that. Beckett added him to the call the night of the drunk stream.
Their own weird freaking skeletons. And I just sit here and I'm like, surely people can't believe this. Surely people have a brain. But apparently not, because now we're in the situation that we're in now. And it boggles my mind, and it just makes me roll my eyes.
Wait, it's that guy, Diesel? Yes. Yes, it was that guy.
Quite frankly.
Talking with Claire Wolf.
I forget the name of the show he runs, or what he calls his stream, but yes.
Pretty illuminating. I can almost understand why no one's been interested in hearing her side in all this.
Legendary stream.
Because it must be pretty bloody difficult to run a story about somebody being a groomer when their primary victim, quote-unquote, won't go along with your narrative. But when you start picking apart the eccentricities of these relationships, it becomes a hell of a lot harder to treat the people leveling these accusations as just passive observers concerned for victims. No wonder so many people want to remain anonymous. They're not just random people from the internet, they're people with large public profiles in the community. I was astonished to find that people had either outright ignored Claire's public statements on the situation, or actively attacked her as somehow complicit. This is also the case for Michelle, who played Applebloom on the show, whose long-term friendship with Gabe is the origin point of these rumors. And once again, because I can hear that scratching, I don't know the truth behind the Black Griffin allegations, and neither do you, but when I said earlier that many people do not care about victims in this story...
It's like there's an age gap in the marriage, right? So it's just like, people just have a problem with that. Grown women can't consent to marry grown men because the internet says no. Like, there's a lot of things like that. By the way, it's only a problem when the guy is older. I know that's like a thing that's thrown around quite a bit, but you never see it for dudes. You never see it for dudes.
This is what I mean, because hypothetically, let's say this mob is correct about Black Griffin. That would mean his two primary victims, quote-unquote, have been relentlessly attacked alongside him, and the reason for this is obvious. The people leveling these accusations don't care about victims. Their motivations are entirely self-interested. Which brings us rather nicely to Sophie Scruggs. Because, as I mentioned before, Brony Fandom isn't a one-man band. The other half of this little duo has seemingly been pushing these allegations longer than Bonk has. And in her case, it's almost more bizarre, because she's not a random member of this community. She was an official artist for the My Little Pony comics.
My name is Sophie Scruggs, that's SOPHIEASCRUGGS, if you want to look me up on Twitter, Sophie A. Scruggs.
I do know that she kind of spearheaded a lot of the allegations towards Gabe, and worked with, Brony Fandone, whatever.
My husband was called a groomer, even though he's a year older than me, by old friends of mine. Jesus.
To kind of, create this wall of saying like we're the ones holding this together, this case, and trying to bring the information to the light. And she's trying to say like we need to do this. It's like a crusade. I mean, it's even in her banner or her title for her Twitter, like, I believe Destiny, she's very much involved, even though she likes to have this idea that she's like, I'm not involved,
My opinion,
insane.
me speaking on that, is I think it's pretty messed up of Sophie to let a mentally ill person take the fall for her crusade.
Sophie has been obsessed with the Black
I
Griffin
am
story
not
for so
showing
long,
that.
It is actually difficult to find an
I'm
origin
not
point
showing that. I'm not showing what was just said to me. Diesel, show what I said.
How this all began.
I just want to say that Fauci specifically said that Sophie Scruggs looks like the hello my baby, hello my darling frog. Okay. disavow this behavior, okay? Oh my god, that is so fucking rude. I'm not showing that, shows it. I'm easily swayed by peer pressure, okay? Hold faster next time.
But I have heard a couple of...
I'm soy no longer. You're still pretty soy in your own special way. Don't you ever forget it, Pookie.
theories. The first is some nondescript traumatic event.
They also straight up use Sophie's trauma and mental illness to discredit.
I'm sorry. I can't. I don't think I can't. I feel like there's certain vocal ranges and tones needed for serious allegation stuffs. But if I was doing a video about a serious thing, my tone would be much more serious than it is here. You know, it's like...
Sophie seems to be suffering a lot from her own trauma, which must be incredibly tough to deal with. But she...
It's just like, it's a it's a YouTuber accent.
Often spreads misinformation, even if unintentional.
And far from how this is being painted by Lazy, this is Sophie's own explanation for her behavior. However, if it helps, I actually don't believe this is true. I think the explanation is far more simple. Sophie was massively jealous of Gabe. And again, that seems to be...
I disavow this. I disavow. Chud's chat says Lazy looks like a trans Diorio. I disavow this. Oh my god.
Shockingly common. Black Griffin moved from being a...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of fuck with the buzz cut personally, but that's...
fan of the show to work...
People have been saying, ask comment. I disavow.
Working on it. And this crops up again and again.
A former con chair told me that the reason why Gabe was always at stuff as a special guest is if you wanted to invite for Apple Bloom, Monique would basically require to also invite Gabe. They would quote unquote throw him in for free.
See what I mean? Like,
and
the mother keeps pushing the two of them together. Why?
Yeah.
Who does Chud's chat like? I genuinely don't think they like anyone. No. Chud is like he's like a wrangler, okay? He's a wrangler of a dysfunctional mob of people who hate everything. Okay? They hate for the love of the game. Chud's a very nice guy. I've really enjoyed talking to him. I like him personally as like a guy. His chat is insane. But his chat is not him at all. It's crazy. Like, I understand why people would be like, oh, did he intentionally name himself Chud? He is an expat of the political sphere of the internet. He used to be a politics streamer, and then he became a drama guy.
And so it basically, like, they would, in order to have
Godspeed
her,
to him.
for example...
Yeah, he's in a better place now that he's in drama. He's in a better place. It makes it sound like he's dead. He's not dead.
If you wanted all of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, you have to have Gabe, basically. And that's kind of how...
Beckett, the guy who did this video, for those of you that don't know, is also a former politics streamer. And he also escaped. And he's much more successful now that he's not in politics anymore. Many such cases. Being annoying online. Is he woke? I think Chud is more woke than he lets on. I think Chud is more woke than he lets on. But I think he tries not to be for his audience. Can't subscribe if so. Can't subscribe if he's woke. He's woke, but he hides it. Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing like Diorio. There are people that have come to me. They've asked for like a woke check. They're like, I don't know if I can talk to this Diorio guy, Diesel. Does he pass? And I'm like, he's woke. He just hides it. And they're like, I had no idea he was woke. I mean, he's not like that woke. He's like New York woke. That's like a different kind of woke. It's dark woke. Yeah, it's dark woke.
Ingratiated him.
This is starting to sound like words that don't mean anything.
Self into the guest of honor spot, even though he didn't really do a whole lot to earn a guest of honor spot. He did some background vocals on a few episodes, and that's it.
This is a video essay by the wonderful people at Cope and Seed. Yes.
And to clarify too, so how it worked in the pony convention scene, I guess if you want to call it, is there are the guests of honor who were specifically show staff, so like, you know, voice actors, you know, directors, etc., etc., and then there'd be people like me and Sophie and people that were just active in the fandom.
The dirtbag, no, you can't use scumbag left because that was the thing that people would describe Destiny as, right? And Destiny can't stop giving head to Nick Fuentes, so that word has been taken. That word belongs to them.
That were called community guests, and Gabe was usually the only exception to that for whatever reason, and that was the reason.
Clips like this are mind-bending. You literally start the conversation by explaining how he moved to doing background vocals on the show, therefore meeting the criteria of guest of honor, and then lament that he didn't really earn it. And these fucking people are still bitching about this in current day. When MomoCon heard about KP making the DA Games video, they removed her from the guest list.
Oh.
KP would then...
Dude, I feel like I could become a guest at a convention if I wasn't so annoying on the internet. I mean, I feel like maybe I'm too problematic, but I think if I went to like MomoCon, I could become a guest of honor. Like, I am definitely like, what has KP done? Make essays on cartoons.
Cry about this to Bonk, asking.
Okay, story time. Did you guys know that I was on a panel at PAX East in one of their big theaters? I was on a panel. New York dark woke is when Luigi Mangione. From my subjective perspective, at certain cons, you could defo get major billing. I don't want it for any other reason than saying I had it, you know? Oh my god. But okay, so I'll save that story. But yeah, I did have a panel at PAX East one year.
Him whether he could get people to vouch for her so she could get back in. And
what was the panel about? It was about esports. Because I used to do esports management.
Interesting that all these stories are unattributable to random former conchas. It's all somebody told me or I heard.
They let me on a TwitchCon main stage and I got away with a Yakub joke. Exactly one laugh. That's actually a tragedy because Yakub being spoken on the TwitchCon stage is just really funny. Open when you... Okay.
This once. But realistically, that's all it ever can be, because people like Sophie and KP weren't really on the...
I am assuming there's not a content cop on me and my career isn't ended by Cameron. I will probably go to TwitchCon. I know I said I was going to go to VidCon, but then I have to work a convention as a coffee owner before that, so womp womp.
Inside of any of these...
My entire chat goes to TwitchCon and laugh at one Yakub joke, please.
Groups. KP basically survived off the kindness of Henry's now wife Casey, and while Sophie was seemingly an official comic artist, that's much less impressive than it sounds. Sophie was basically treated like any other vendor at any of these conventions. And that seething resentment for that core circle that actually had some relevance
I might get sniped by the rooftop. You paying me to go to TwitchCon? No.
This community means that Sophie's interest was not just Black Griffin. She was fully aware of the allegations against Saber Spark and what was going on behind the scenes. KP presented me a TSV file for their conversations. This is also the format KP used to provide me her conversations with Casey.
Okay.
And Casey has at least confirmed those logs are accurate. However, I note this here because whenever you're presented with something that could have been edited before it reached you, you should accept that possibility. Before we move on from Sophie, I want to just highlight one section in Lazy's video.
But also claiming that they associate with people who defend drawn child sexual abuse material?
Because that accusation of association is not random.
Them predators move in flocks. Listen, every single Caucasian individual, please stop using Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us for every single little drama, okay? You're not Kendrick Lamar. You don't have his style. You don't have his class. You can't even rap your shit out your ass. I'm somewhat of a Dr. Seuss myself, but like, Jesus Christ.
And I want you to keep in mind the name Wootmaster for when we get to Fandone.
If you die, can I make a clickbait drama tube video called Fallen Slop Tube FPS Diesel Gets Killed by Reverse Predator Hunter? I would actually... Diesel, Wootmaster is black. How am I supposed to know? That's a zebra! Somehow that made me sound more racist, but...
But, before that... I mean, I think that moves us on to sort of Sophie Scruggs and Fandone. But
so this is that master person.
Yes.
Aren't zebras black and white stripes? Zebras are racially ambiguous. Okay, wait for it. Okay.
Baffled.
Zebras are racially ambiguous, and I will not take any other answer.
Okay, so here's all that I know about Sophie and my history with her. I just, these people, I don't understand. It's like this weird parasocial
Zebras
behavior.
and MLP stand for black
that has
people.
rapidly
okay, that sounds racist.
Moved. It's like it's dancing on the borderline of obsession, because the moment somebody is like knows a bunch of stuff about you, looks up to you, and I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm saying that because I've witnessed this firsthand when people treat you differently because you're a voice actor on a show that literally outside of the hotel the convention is held at, nobody gives a rat's anus about. And it is so weird to me that, and I'm using this as a specific example, and I actually had to go back and research this because I had forgot about it because it meant nothing to me. Sorry, Sophie, I'm not trying to be rude here, but I don't remember that I complimented your snail once. That was something that I did.
I don't remember that I complimented your snail.
In the moment, because I was being friendly and nice, and now somehow I'm getting backstabbed because you decided to tweet out to everybody years ago, the last time you got frustrated that I was in a relationship with Gabe, before we were married and we had announced that we were dating, you said you were worried for your dear friend, your close friend, Claire, me. And I'm sitting here going, who the hell Have I even met you before?
This lady is so rightfully pissed about people concerned trolling for her. Holy shit.
Like, what the frick? Then I have to go
Nice snail remembers it forever.
back and I find out. Oh, thank God. I actually did meet her. Okay, so she's not, totally crazy. But then I keep reading this stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
She's
literally...
on a scripture level run.
I complimented your snail one time, and I think I might have DM'd you about a bag that I saw at a convention, and you were at the convention, and you had, and I walked through the vendor hall, and I was like, wow, you have really pretty bags, because one of them had my character on it, and I was like, that's so cool. I think I might have taken a picture of it. And then I was like, hey, like, how do you sell your bag? I think I DM'd her of like, hey, how do you sell your bags? Like, I might have wanted to retweet that or promote that at some point, right? And I find out that this person is, first of all, has also been kind of a Gabe hater for a while. Like, prior to me being involved in the situation, had one person tell her one thing that was complete hearsay, because this went around at conventions a lot. People were really, I think, pissed that Gabe, had found success, quite honestly. I think that's what it was. And there was this bubbling, underlying level of jealousy, basically, that had kind of started surfacing the more popular that Gabe had got within the fandom. And I think now, because, and Saber Spark is another one of those people who are ending up finding success further than outside of the pony fandom, which nobody should freaking care about anymore, by the way. It's over.
Oh my god, this lady is cooking insane. Holy shit.
They're finding success, they're moving on in their lives, they're figuring out what they want to do with their careers. How am I going to pivot? How am I going to, create content? What is it going to look like now? And as they do that and they find success, these freaking bronies, and I hate to use that as an umbrella term because I know that there are plenty of bronies who are out there that are very cool and very sweet, very nerdy, nice people who just, want to have a community and want to make friends. But there's also, like, very clearly, and I don't think this was always there, by the way. I think that it developed over the years, this, like, weird, like, sexual part of the fandom. But before that, it was just, like, it was memes and, like, oh, we shouldn't be...
There's a weird sexual part of the fandom. Hey, kind of always a little bit of that in there.
Watching this show because it's, like, for little girls. Haha, that's kind of funny. And that's how a lot of these people fell into it. That's how Aber fell into it. That's how Gabe fell into it. That's how Jeff fell into it. Like, all these people, that's how it started. And then they got a little bit popular because they had, content that they were making that people really liked. And then they moved on. And people are somehow so freaking pissed. And Sophie being one of these people who keeps saying things, by the way, make up your freaking mind, Sophie. Is Gabriel successful outside of the pony fandom, or has he reached his peak already? Because
I think I would be horrified to be, like, permanently, like, trapped in the pony fandom, running the pony circuit in the death throes of a community.
you've said both, and you can't just pick and choose when you want to use that.
Falgi, why did he give you a character still? Does he hate you?
as a punching bag for some, I don't know, the end of some point you're trying to make. It doesn't make any sense. He's either successful or he's a has-been. Which one is it? Come back to me and
Has-been hotel? Another drama. Interesting.
freaking figure it out. But anyway, I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to compliment people on their snails anymore for fear that 7 years down the road, when I become an adult, that they're going to attack me after I've stood up for myself and said, hey, what you're saying is not true about me. And by the way, I'm not a close friend of yours. I don't know who you are.
About an hour and a half ago, I said to you that I didn't want to originally look at this story because I was aware of its connection to the wider Black Griffin allegations, and over the past week or so of looking at this, I realized that I was wrong. This isn't just connected to the Black Griffin allegations, this is the Black Griffin allegations, it's just the next iteration of it. Because the people going after Saberspark right now are doing so purely because he is friends with Black Griffin. And their motivation isn't whether Saberspark is innocent or guilty, their motivation is finding anything they can to stab into any member of this group in their endless crusade against them.
If I'm not mistaken, she did come to you, right?
Brony Fandot was aware of her because Amy had told her about him, or told, him about her.
I'm saying that, like, that person came to you, though. You didn't seek them out. It was the other way around.
Yeah, she used Amy, yeah.
Okay, so that tells me she was aware enough to know about your biases at Saberspark and just wanted to utilize that.
Brony Fandone is an absolute freak, and I imagine that is painfully obvious to anyone with even a passing knowledge of this drama, but don't worry, the well runs deep with this one. Their history in this community is pretty bizarre. They actually started off running a roleplay account of all things. Earlier on, I mentioned their schizophrenic thread from March, and good lord does this contain some weird lore about them. Allow me to save you some time.
Diesel, if you were a stand user, what power would you and your stand name be? I would be down to draw it out. I do pencil and ink, so it will be digital, FYI. I don't know. That's something I think I'd rather the community decide for me.
Reading it and just provide you a simple TLDR. Fandone is a narcissistic lunatic whose greatest achievement in life is role-playing as the character Discord, something that essentially occurred accidentally through a meme account connected to their main character. Now, Fandone would describe this as accidentally laying the groundwork to be the most powerful character ever, describing this as a trial by fire.
Man.
Because with great power comes great responsibility. After all, guys, they were still barely a team. They keep talking.
Bonk needs his internet access taken away. Dude, when I saw, I was like at work when I heard all this stuff about them like pretending to go kill themselves and pretending to jump off a bridge. And it's just like, brother, you literally just were Sephiroth posting and now you're doing this. Diesel, Fandone considers himself a god. I think he is considered unemployed.
About how they were getting bigger and bigger roles. How shocking it was that they had fans they'd meet at conventions. I'm gonna stop here because this is fantasy.
I think your stand should be Kiss from a Rose, and the power is just pure Riz.
I have yet to
I think there's a dojin like that.
run into anybody, and yes, I have tried, who was even aware of this person before they started going after Black Griffin. Brony Fandone existed in a very, very niche part of this community. And sure, I get it, if you're a massive loser and you've got a few hundred people paying attention to your weird meme Twitter account, that might mean something to you. But this was Fandone's life. He had nothing else, and then suddenly, the lockdown started to happen. For it was not apathy that killed the Bronies, it was a global pandemic. Obviously, the vast majority of the fanbase...
It was not apathy that killed the Bronies, it was a global pandemic. The last BronyCon was like a seminal moment in internet history. I don't think you guys realize how sad that is. That is like the death of a community in that moment. And you know the weirdest part is I was there and I didn't meet any of these people.
Had already moved on from the show.
All of the Bronies I met at BronyCon were unironically nice people. Except for Chris Chan, I guess. Chris Chan I'm kind of, ambivalent about, really, if I'm being honest.
Show. But cons were still happening, and these seem to be the only interactions Fandone had with people in the real world. This is obviously just a theory for me, but timeline-wise, I really do think that this is the point where Fandone went from a bit weird to completely fucking insane. I sound like I'm being mean, but this is actually the only defense for Fandone. And it also might answer the question of why he was utilized at all. Because right now we can see Sophie and Amy lying through their fucking teeth about how neither of them thought this was a good idea, and Emily was just a bit too erratic. Ladies, your names are all over this. My advice to you would be to shut the fuck up. Yet, I get it. Fandone in this story is by far the worst actor.
Yeah, Fandone is a really good fall guy in this. Even though other people are discussing it, mainly for all the insane stuff that the account tweets. So it makes it really easy to ignore the other malicious actors and just throw it on someone else.
So when throwing KP to the wolves wasn't quite enough, I guess he has to go as well. Though, as always, I am just happy to help. So
I was too shy to go up to Christine. My ex took a picture with Christine, though. Christine was more apprehensive about being around male-presenting individuals.
Let's start with the friend of all three of these people, Wootmaster. Wootmaster, also known as Ezekiel
Okay, so I'm told that I should look at something, correct, Falgi?
Zebra, is an artist with a long history of controversy. They actually have some history with Senate, but our focus here is their pornographic material, because Wootmaster shares similar interests to Brony Fandone. Obviously, I don't want to flashbang you with this stuff, I'm not a complete fucking amateur. Fortunately, I don't have to though, because if you want to know what sort of person Woot is, their other major controversy involves their partner, who was a pedophile, personally banned by Elon Musk.
What? 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 By the way, the Epoch Times promoting that is crazy. Okay. So what am I looking for in here? What am I like looking for to show or not show? What you're going to see did not get me demonetized. Okay. So Wootmaster's art. Following link. Okay. Oh. Oh, is it the Nazi stuff? Oh, holy shit. Holy shit. It's more, it's not just that. Oh boy. So I literally will get demonetized. Oh no! Oh no! No, I do. Oh boy. The Nazi one definitely takes the cake, not gonna lie. That one's pretty fucking funny. This is what's the age? Like fucking on the Nazi one or the other ones? Read the fake ID. Yeah, they did the Shadman thing. They did the Shadman joke. You know, listen, you guys know the Shadman ID joke? This guy just did that, but with a My Little Pony character. Okay? That's how bad it is. That's what the guy did. That's why Elon Musk banned him. Cucking us of content.
Woot's history is shockingly well known, and Fandone is constantly bringing them up, even in the DMs with KP. The reason I raise this is A, to show you what sort of person Fandone is, but secondly because it is no coincidence that Fandone is so keen to go after Saberspark, because Saber has fought with Woot publicly on Twitter. I'm honestly not sure quite how to square the circle between somebody who spends their entire life at the moment trying to out somebody as a groomer, while also simultaneously defending their friend who either was or is dating a pedophile. All under a backdrop of this bizarre pornography. And it is interesting, right, that Brony Fandone seems to start going after Claire, the voice actress for Sweetie Belle, the minute she gets into a relationship. It's almost as if this adult woman publicly dating somebody else ruined Fandone's fantasies. And no, I'm not going to show it to you, but Wootmaster did at one point seemingly either draw or retweet pornographic images of Sweetie Belle. Fandone's crusade against Gabe has been long running, but most interestingly about it is how he has treated Claire. Because she went from his primary concern to his mortal enemy, even going so far as to deny any abuse she may have suffered from her father. For those not in the know, Claire has been very vocal about having a troubled home life, much of which seems to be dismissed by people who were a fan of her father, as he is the Canadian voice actor for Goku. When all this stuff with Fandone...
Oh my god, dude. This is insane. Oh boy. Beckett is on this old guy's shit list, okay?
started, Claire just thought it was a dad because he has a history of making fake accounts to basically stalk her and her now husband. There's evidence of him admitting this to her in a recording. Now, many people haven't heard this. It's part of
I remember years ago on iFunny, there was a guy who would lap as a Nazi pony named Ariane who had a pink heart with a swastika inside as a cutie mark.
Boy, honestly, you know, maybe it was Wootmaster, okay? Maybe it was Wootmaster. Diesel, do you know why I was going crazy for hours of calls?
The Gabe defense.
Dude, iFunny must have been a crazy place to be.
Documents and a little bit difficult to access. So, with permission, I'm just going to play it for you.
One thing I would like to say, if you want to talk about Twitter and lying,
Do you have something to say for yourself, Janice?
Absolutely. Yeah. I formed a Twitter handle that because I didn't think it was appropriate for your to go, what a crock of shit that is, Gabe.
In case that hurts your career, if you do it on your Twitter account?
Oh, no.
Oh my god, dude. This is a crazy thing to be hearing. Holy shit. Holy shit. Her dad is hate-logging her like he's some fucking farmer or something, bro. So Claire has evidence of her father making alt accounts to call Gabe a pedophile. Holy shit.
It's kind of human. That's all. And I completely
So
admit
cyberbullying is human.
I completely admit
It's very human for me to bully my wife's husband.
Really? But you never told me.
Why would I tell you?
You blocked me on Twitter.
Big deal.
So you didn't want to see me, but you'll tell me.
If I ever have kids, I hope I'd never be so unhinged. This is so insane.
I'm telling you right now. I'm not.
Why did you block me on Twitter?
I'm not. What do you mean block?
Janice blocked.
Daughter, I've been live for 3 hours, Chad. Okay, I haven't slept in 2 days. I've got a sleeping problem. I think I need to go see a doctor.
On Twitter.
Fine. Do you want? I can unblock you. And you know what? Now that it's all in the open, I'll really do it. Because I think.
Did you know about this?
I think that people. No, Mom knows nothing about this. I think that people that need to be called out when they're full of it, and frankly, there's a huge component of his followers that go, "What the hell are you tweeting for at 3 a.m. for?"
That is very common for him. So I don't know
Yeah,
why you're.
I'm well aware of that. It's not like he's on tour in REO Speedwagon and they're playing gigs till 2 a.m. He's doing nothing.
You are trying to sabotage him and his career and everything about him. And that is the way you're
Yeah. You're gay. You're new in town. You haven't slept in 2 days. Yeah, I know. I'm going through the ringer. God.
going about it. Instead of...
I know, dude. Imagine what the family reunion's gonna look like. Christmas dinner must be crazy.
Talking and you're swooving your freaking way around every other possibility that could get you.
And his extra Twitter account said,
which you denied.
I did not deny.
Yeah.
This is Goku fighting with a pony.
This is Goku fighting with a pony.
Gabe sent you a DM, said quit it. I know what this is about. And
Yeah.
you were like, oh, just another hater.
That's not denying anything. I am a hater.
Come back. First of all, you're forced to be quarantined in your fucking room. Bye.
I have one more thing.
I just got here. Is the dad just a W hater, or dad is a terrible person? Dad is a terrible person. The dad is bullying his daughter's husband.
What do you have now?
Why is it that changed?
Literally, that's the basis. That is literally what is this is. That is just what this is.
Bullshit. Oh, I'm gonna go into family therapy like this.
You said that.
Family therapy must be insane.
Therapy. Bullshit.
I will admit the levels of hate. Yeah, the dad is also Canadian Goku. Is yeah.
Liar.
Fucking liar. It's got nothing to do. I know you're gonna try to equate. Fuck off.
Whatever
Dude, Goku's swearing.
you think about the Black Griffin allegations, people are just denying this happened to her because it doesn't fit with their narrative. And if you're somebody who claims to care about victims, this seems like a pretty callous and uncaring thing to do. And it has served to silence these people, because why would they speak out? In fact, Black Griffin offered to speak to me, and I realized that was a pointless endeavor and a waste of my time and his, because whatever he said, none of his detractors will believe him. A significant portion of the conversations I have had with Michelle and Claire are in reference to these allegations.
Clip Goku and edit it to DBZ.
But on reviewing it, I realized putting it in may be completely pointless. What I will say is both of them have spoken plainly and openly to me about these accusations. That being said, I do think there is one particular use for these conversations, because one thing they serve to highlight is the insane level of A-logging these people have been subjected to over the years. We're talking anything public about these people. It's been trawled through and picked apart by this lunatic.
And the voice of Mr. Fantastic for Marvel Rivals? No fucking way, dude. Holy shit.
To find anything damaging, and I want to show you that through the perspective of Michelle.
With Gabe and Claire, the irony is we've calculated now that Gabe and Claire met outside of conventions roughly 6 to 7 times. And we've gone through all of our photos, all of our videos, like collectively, to calculate accurately how many times it would have been when she was a minor outside of like conventions, and it still would have used like that's including like video shoots. It just happens to be that literally 5 out of 7 of those times were filmed. So to these people it looks like so much. It was like those were literally the only times they interacted, and then maybe the other 2 times were my 2 birthdays. You know what I mean? Like it's just so, the irony is crazy. It's like those were literally the only times they saw each other. Oh, and one other time we saw like Book of Mormon, and I don't think we filmed any videos there, but we like posted a picture. So it's literally all these times they're finding, those are the only examples. Like no more exist essentially.
I don't understand how it's the people who are taking this way too seriously that get so wrapped up in this. And they're like, look at here, they're by themselves. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're with another person. They're right freaking there. And they just take screenshots of, which I think is so funny. The fact that they're like screenshots from videos that I made. And
these interviews are really good. These are really good. I think if there's anything that's the most telling in this video is this stuff. This is my favorite part of this kind of content, personally.
Someone's like, please send this to Claire. We can still get her out. There's still time. I'm like, why is your goal that you want me to get divorced? Or is it a step further? Do you want me to freaking marry you? Because that's creepy. You know why? Because unlike Gabriel, you guys have been obsessed with me since I was 13. So maybe think about that the next time you look at yourself in the freaking mirror.
God, the drama with this family. I'm not trying to like downplay it, obviously. This is very serious. But in the same breath, it's just so... like, it's the stuff that they make, you know, this is the stuff that they make a drama about. It would be great TV. With all due respect, it would be great TV. With all due respect, the My Little Pony drama would be very good TV. Excuse me. I'm saying right now that Sweetie Belle has been wrongfully put in a corner.
Jeez. So one of the things that people, you know, claim is an inaccuracy that counters reality of how many times, you know, Gabe and Claire spent together.
Dude, you know when he was like, when Trump was like yelling at Zelensky about the mineral deal, Trump was like, it'll make great TV. This is gonna make great TV.
Together and how close friends they were, was Gabe saying we weren't friends. I know Gabe's definition of friends. I know he would not have considered Claire a friend, because he would consider somebody a friend that he had, you know, contact with, phone number. He only had Claire's phone number, I don't know, some point like 2017-ish, because one of her parents gave him, or no, one of her parents gave Claire Gabe's number, and that actually made Gabe really uncomfortable. And I was there when he first received a text from her, and he was like, oh God, why did they give Claire my number? I don't want her to have my number. There were other people in the room too, so I'm not even the only witness to that. But they, again, we've calculated it specifically, they only spent 6 to 7 times approximately together outside of conventions. And I think, 5 or so of those times were filmed. And there was only one instance during our entire
Diesel, I digress. I've been tracking it. The leaderboard stuff is affected by messages you read. Okay.
childhood minority period, where Gabe and Claire and I, just the 3 of us, were alone. And it's that one video of us going out into the woods. And I deleted it because I felt showing the dead raccoons was inappropriate. I deleted it like 8
okay.
years ago, because I just thought it was kind of a gross video. That's literally the only instance. And these people somehow like went, I don't even know how they found it. And they thought I deleted it because the comments were inappropriate. It was literally like a super popular video. I deleted it because I just thought it was gross. And I've deleted, like, I don't know, I unlisted a bunch of videos a long time ago, because I was just like, I don't know, we're just kind of like being immature. Like, I didn't like showing a pile of 5 dead raccoons on my channel. That just wasn't professional. I was focusing on my music. So I unlisted a bunch of those videos I just thought weren't really, I wouldn't want people to like go back and see now just for my own sake. Not because not because the comments were like inappropriate of, oh, you know, Gabe's taking 2 young girls out in the woods. We were there for probably an hour, and it's...
Okay, so for reference, the only instance of a video with these 2 alone with Gabe as a minor is them driving into the woods, and she didn't want to show dead raccoons.
5 minutes away from my house.
Okay.
And both of our sets of parents would have approved it. And literally every other time Claire and Gabe would have ever seen each other when Claire was a minor, parents and many other adults would have been around. Every single time. That's the one video, and they used that one single video that I even
Cat
deleted.
And Greg Raid. Cat and Greg raid. Where are you guys raiding from?
They somehow found, I don't know how, as proof that they spent time alone. It's completely untrue. Completely untrue.
Now, to some
The
of you,
op Discord. Oh, okay. You guys were in Discord. Okay.
this might feel like new information or flies in the face of what you've been told previously, but there's two things I'd like you to.
Every other instance of filming is an offshoot home full of Michelle, since Gabe lived with Michelle and her family. Okay.
Keep in mind. Firstly, that the people who are going after this group are really dumb. One of the questions I had, actually, generally, is there's so much focus on Claire being married to Gabe, but these sort of, I don't know, rumors or the way people thought about the relationship started with you. So it's very interesting that they've focused in on Claire. People, they seem to be going, well, we know this person, we care about this person, we want to save this person. And you, who were also involved, kind of get sidelined. And the fact that you don't really know them or have any interactions with them is almost a bit telling that.
Oh, they're basically, they're strangers. Essentially, they're strangers. I know nothing about them. They know nothing about us, Maybe Claire's interacted with the specific people a couple more times than me, it sounds. She has more specific memories, but yeah, no, I mean, it is interesting too, like how many examples and stuff that people have sent me, like screenshots where like they mix us up too. Like it'll be some picture like 10 years ago, or like they think it's Gabe.
Dude, it's a Falgi, yeah. We got a Falgi, yeah. There we go. Shout out Falgi in a Beckett video.
But it's actually like me with my short hair and Claire, like just silly stuff like that. Like, they can't even tell us apart. It's hysterical.
And secondly, until we reached out, no one has tried interviewing these two women. And what makes that particularly insane is not the level of incompetence on display, it's the fact that people like Amy New have direct lines to them and never thought to ask. Since these new rumors have kicked up, we'll say in the last few years, or like the campaign against Black Griffin started, have people tried to actually approach you for your opinion on this, or actually cared what you think? Because it appears with Claire's like, no, this isn't happening, that's not the way any of this occurred, you're wrong. And people have gone, well, of course she thinks that, she's a victim and protecting her husband, and now she's evil. Have you sort of experienced similar stuff, or have you just been sort of sidelined?
And no one's ever asked us. If these
wow. Oh my gosh. I'm glad that that's becoming more normalized, like the whole interviewing people.
people actually were concerned that we were taken advantage of as minors. They've never asked us. They claim to know us. They could have. Well, do you think you have our phone number or email? Like, we have peers in common. We have colleagues in common. You really that concerned about us? Like, it's insulting. We're 25-year-old adults, and frankly, they don't have any idea how young we had to become adults as well. So you want to treat us like fully. Dude,
the whole fucking like, how fat these people don't sound. They sound older. The ladies sound older than they are, just because of all that time they had to spend as child actors. It just like aged them instantly.
Professional people at the age of 13 paying taxes and like doing all this stuff, having full careers for already 5+ years, and yet we're too immature to know our own circumstances and our own past and present. It's very I mean, again, if there weren't all these ramifications for Gabe's career, none of us would care at all. That's why none of us have talked about it for the longest time, because it's always just garbage. I'm not going to be offended by something someone says if I don't know them. I don't value your opinion. I don't know you. So only now, I mean, this is probably honestly the last time I'm going to talk about it is with you guys, because I appreciate that you're the first people I've seen that are actually trying to get to the bottom of this. But we all just want to move on. I mean, we're digging up our lives from 10+ years ago because these people who have never even met us claim to know what's happened in our lives, but don't take any weight in our perspective.
After all this time and effort spent silencing people who were actually involved in speaking for the potential victims of Black Griffin, Brony Fandone must have been jumping for joy when Courtney Pete was making a video, and then Lazy Bedhead, and then comes KP and allegations against Saber. Man, April must have looked like a very good month for Fandone. But then, everything begins to fall apart. Fandone had wanted the spotlight, he wanted attention, and when he finally got it, well, that monkey paw curled in a very particular way. So let's have a look at the fallout from his side, and his interesting reactions. We've already gone over much of Fandone's reactions to KP directly, but it bears repeating that the first public statement from the Fandone account came from Sophie, not from Bonk. Bonk's concern lay primarily in the fact that he realised quite quickly that this video might be damaging to the accusations against Saberspark and DA Games. While he says that he doesn't want to shit on KP and just get people to hate on her, it wouldn't take long before the pressure really started.
Yeah, oh my god, they both turned on each other. This Bonk person is fucking unhinged. I know, Falgi. I know.
Get to him. Now we're going to skip ahead a bit to when things get interesting around the 12th, because as things have been moving behind the scenes,
I'm sorry. I'm going to be doing this the entire fucking summer, ain't I?
Idle. He'd been plotting with Emily to save the sinking ship, becoming increasingly confident that once KP was out of the way, he'd be able to emerge the hero. This would all come to a screeching halt, however, when Saber Spark released his response. Saber, again, has denied these accusations, but more importantly, the video isn't addressed to Emily, focusing more towards KP and Fandone and their devious little schemes.
Summer's drama season. I think the hot weather makes people mentally ill. I don't know what it is.
Panics, saying the response would be coming within the next few hours. This response would not come. Most hilariously, he said that he was documenting other people's responses, which further made him a complete fucking laughingstock. And this would just be the beginning of what turned into a god-tier crash-out. Fandom would blame this lack of response on an unnamed drama channel. At the time, I thought this was probably me. It might also be Opblock, because I do know from her DM she was watching his streams.
Yeah, it could be either of you two. It could be either of you two. Honestly, it's probably Falgi.
His unhinged voicemail. I'd said to KP that we had very good evidence that it was Emmy, and she should talk to me or at least somebody at this point, given what was unfolding with the situation. Either way, fucking hilarious. Now, at time of recording, the Brony Fandone account is locked, which makes me very grateful for channels like Internet Versus, because this lack of a further statement from Emmy seems to have seriously messed with Fandone's plans. He'd begin wildly lashing out at everyone from KP to Lazy Bedhead, saying he didn't want to hand over power to people like Opblock. When this didn't work, he basically concedes defeat and moves to a Hail Mary play. Now, one thing you should know about Bonk is—
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. This is so fucking annoying. Oh my god. Oh boy. I am so sorry, Quite. Who is Quite? I don't know who that is. Oh my god, I wish you people would keep his name out your fucking mouths, man.
At the slightest pressure, this guy will say that he's going to end himself. So against the current insane tirade against him, this ramped up significantly, as he posted a link to a Twitch stream in which he's walking in the rain. Now, I want to be a touch sensitive here, not in deference to Fandone, but this is a topic that touches a lot of people's lives, unfortunately, myself included. For that reason, I take stuff like this pretty seriously, and I get really angry when I think people are baiting this shit for sympathy. Rather, I'd like—
It was very clear that Fandone was suicide baiting. Like, the live stream was very funny. But like they were like hysterical, and like a guy's just like biking like right by on his bike.
To focus on the actions of others, because despite the shit that Bonk has pulled, there was almost universal concern for his well-being. Multiple people would phone wellness checks, giving out landmarks and identifying information to try and help the police track this guy down and stop him harming himself. Even Sophie would apparently do the right thing, taking access to the account away from Bonk and locking it. And this wasn't just from his friends. Angry Slug and Lyo both made serious efforts to try and protect this guy. The actual wellness check that did the trick apparently came from Baja, somebody who was friends with Bonk but had fallen out with him over his insane takes on pornography. And that's largely the last—
Oh my god. Yeah, someone came in here earlier. Bonk has been relegated to Blue Sky and just Sephiroth post.
We've heard of Bonk for the moment. He's apparently in—
Diesel, days after he got out of the hospital, Bonk would discuss a woman who was assaulted in the army and why police suck, and added value to his attempt because someone else was successful days ago. Ay, Dios.
Some kind of medical care, which, let's be honest, he desperately needs. But before finishing up with this freak, again, I'd like you to hear Claire's thoughts on the guy who's been harassing her for years. I think it also moves us quite nicely onto Fandone, actually.
Very interesting individual. He started off by being, and again, like, I have no problem answering people's questions if they're genuinely asking me a question, or if they start, which he did, by saying, this is a situation I'm bringing to light. Claire has been groomed by Black Griffin, also known as Gabriel Brown, and everybody should know about it. And he proceeded with this whole long thread, and I read it and I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Like, surely people are not, gonna bite on this. And then I saw that, like, enough people were that it started to kind of annoy me. And I was like, what the heck? So I was like, listen, this guy's like, clearly he's been in the My Little Pony fandom for a long time. He definitely knows who I am. And so I feel like I should, kind of make communication with him. And I did. And I said, hey man, like, basically this is, I appreciate the sentiment. I'm okay. What you think is happening is not happening. It didn't happen. And it certainly didn't happen with Michelle either. So could you just, go ahead and problem solved. You don't have to be a hero. I don't need saving, and Michelle doesn't need saving. We're good. None of this happened. I was not groomed, you know. And he just turned immediately and became extremely defensive.
Yeah, no shit, because it's more about, that's just his belief. I mean, maybe it is like a weird sexual fantasy that you've ruined, but like...
And didn't care.
No, you're a liar. You've constantly lied, and you're lying now. Either you told your lawyer your version of events, or your lawyer didn't say any of this. I have not harassed you. I have not slandered anyone. Nothing I've done has been illegal, immoral, or done in the pursuit of any kind of revenge or bad intent. The same cannot be said for what you've done. Everything you say is done in spite. You don't like me posting public information, so you try to make me out of some sort of devil. You can't even hold a conversation without needing to take what you perceive as stabs as me. You think dropping my IRL information in DMs is some sort of gotcha moment? You're fucking awful. Some strangers say they want to give you my home address and job. I think she's threatening you legally.
What I had to say after that point, because at that point I had spoken up against what he was saying, and he was not going to have that.
Yeah. This is Sephiroth posting.
Not somebody who is worried for me, and once I say something on the matter, and this is why it's so annoying when people are like, this person needs to make a statement, this person needs to make a statement. I'm like, why? Because it depends who it's for. If we're talking about people who are my fans know that I'm chilling. My fans follow me on Instagram and Twitter or whatever, and see that I'm very happy in my life and my relationship, and I'm fine. And he, I think, got, you know, he was observing this on his other accounts, and this, you know, me, by this I mean me and Gabe like dating. When we had come out and announced that we were dating, we were worried about that, because we know that there are some people in this fandom who are, you know, a little bit loony, for lack of better terminology. And those people are, you know, will spread stuff about you. And that was something that we were like, you know, let's pick our moment, basically. But eventually we were like, you know what, who cares? Like, I am very happy in this relationship. And Gabe was like, I'm very happy in this relationship. We, you know, we had kind of talked about it, and we're like, yeah, I feel like we can kind of let our followings know. And we have a shared following, but we also have separate following. And it's kind of funny, because it's like, when you announce that you're like dating someone seriously, or like getting married, like you lose a bunch of followers. And for me, I like, you know,
it's a struggle to be a lady on the internet.
I had a lot of people who spoke out, and I got the vibe that they were kind of sad that I was off the market. And I'm like, okay, no offense, but like, as if you had a shot. Like, that's just kind of, some of the people in the fan base are like that. But then there were other people who were super happy for us, and they were like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like, I'm a fan of both of you. That's so fun. Like, I love seeing people who are, you know, like-minded get together, and like, man, you guys are gonna be power couples. So like, it was really nice. But like, this, where Brony Fandone is one of those loony people. And no matter what I said, I realized.
Diesel fan base when we have no shot. I mean, like, you know, I go to conventions. Just know that if it's a one-night stand, you know, my lawyer will be present in the room, okay?
Talking to him directly was literally met with fire every single time. I'm like, is there a way that you, like, you know, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why you feel like you have to. Like, I don't know what else I can say to like alleviate your concerns. And then
The cuck chair in the hotel room will be taken up by my attorney.
started realizing, oh, these aren't concerns. This is now an attack. And then I had speculated, actually, for a while, that this could have been my own dad, because my dad has done stuff like this before. The language was very similar. I had alluded to some, you know, sassy remarks I made with Brony Fandone's this account. And I was just trying to kind of gauge the waters, and I'm like,
The dick and dip was nice to meet you on legal record.
yeah, I found out that it wasn't him, and I was like kind of relieved, but I also was kind of mad, because I was like, well, dang, now we just have,
I
like,
volunteer to play the part of Diesel's lawyer. Oh boy. Will the lawyer give tips? No, but they will give encouragement if you pay the retainer.
another crazy person with the same kind of mentality, and they just want Gabe deplatformed. And I actually DM'd them, and I had a whole conversation with him where I was like, all right, like, I'm gonna level with you, dude. Like, I don't know what your goal is here or your game, but I'm fine. And I don't know, like, why you're so angry about this still. Like, and it seems like you're more angry the fact that I've come out and I've said, like, this is not true now. But the whole conversation, I mean, if you even can read it, he posted it like a while ago, but it was basically like, he said, like, you shouldn't have a relationship with minors if you're an adult at all. And then I got curious and I started doing some research. And from literally like almost no effort at all of research, I was like, oh, okay, this person had like a role-playing account. They deleted a bunch of their, they deleted a bunch of stuff that they used to like communicate with me, that is like no longer on X anymore. But they used to
Okay, listen, we call it Twitter, but it's okay.
communicate with me. So I'm like, so what is it that you feel so guilty or bad about talking to minors? Not even adding the words sexually to this or inappropriate. Literally just, you cannot talk to minors. And so it was very creepy to me quite honestly, that he started saying stuff like this. And the more that he was saying that, then I started looking into it and I was like, okay, the full con thing, like, I'm sorry, if you're normalizing, I don't care what it is, if you're drawing a freaking cabinet and you're sexually attracted to a cabinet and you say that the cabinet is 4 years old, that's really creepy.
What is going on?
I don't care what that thing is. If it is underage and it is being sexualized and you're buying or commissioning that as porn, that is predator behavior. And I think that he's totally projecting because, I don't know,
How old is the tree the 4-year-old cabinet was made of?
I know that I don't like just like throwing things around, especially because I know what it's like to have these words thrown at me and my own husband, but that's pretty pedophilic behavior. And it's normalizing, sexualizing young people and children, and it's disgusting. There's no loophole there. You don't get to defend why your thing is slightly different and not okay and not hurting people. Well, guess what, Brony Fandone? You're hurting me. How about that? You're hurting me. Now you've hurt one person. So is that gonna make you stop getting commissioned freaking underage cartoon porn? Probably not, because there's gonna be
Oh my god, she cannot stand this guy, dude. Holy shit. Dude, yeah, Bonk is a real special person. Their schizo tweets were really funny, so it's a shame that they've been relegated to a site nobody uses.
something else that you're gonna defend about it the next time. I'm sick of, that's so sickening.
This story is one of the weirdest things I have ever covered. When I began, I expected it to be a fairly simple tale about some girl who had a grudge against another content creator and was prepared to go to any lengths to ruin him. I did not expect to be having conversations with the voice actresses from Milo.
Yeah, it's pure hatred. It's unfiltered. It's raw.
Pony, and dealing with a conspiracy to ruin their lives that seemingly has been running for
He's back into Twitter?
years now.
Oh, man.
But as we've got through all the conspirators, I guess it's time for some final thoughts on this entire mess. Firstly, let's return to KP. During my interviews with her, I said I didn't really know where I came down on whether this was malice or stupidity, and I actually don't know really if that's changed. I think it's probably decent quantities of both. One thing I will point out is KP has been very forthcoming with information, and does seem legitimately remorseful. Whether these are genuine feelings, a response to being thrown under the bus, or an attempt to avoid being sued into oblivion, I'll leave up to you. But what I've experienced with KP largely lines up with what other people have said to me about her. She is fairly...
I just got here and we're talking about 4-year-old cabinets. Is IKEA being cancelled by Beckett? What is happening?
No, you see, the cabinets are like an IED, okay? And when you step on an IED, it explodes.
lost and fairly clueless, turning up to our first conversation kind of baked. So it doesn't come as a surprise to me that when I came back to her to ask her,
I love IKEA. Top 10 reasons IKEA is problematic. The cabinets are underage.
Chris, she'd ask me this.
Are you cool with me coming to process to you, like, in general? Like, I don't know. I don't want to look at anything that's gonna trigger me, and then Lyle won't tell me anything because he's afraid he's gonna trigger me.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean...
Oh my god, what?
Again, I won't...
Listen, man, why are you coming to the drama guy to be like, listen, I need a sounding board? What?
So, I want to be clear that I am making a video on you. I think there's that separation. I'm no one's therapist. For those of you
oh my
looking for
god,
some repercussions to hit KP, and I don't blame any of you for that position, this kind of thing is devastating to a channel. I'm really not sure how you actually come back from something like this. And to be honest, the real damage that's been done to her is she has basically burnt all her bridges with her old remaining friends. And my final thought on this really is that the only person who can judge KP fairly is Saberspark and how he feels about the shit she pulled. As a core point to this entire thing, if there is a lesson to be learned, it is about evidencing the claims we are making as creators. And I have actively avoided including claims that I couldn't in some way substantiate either with evidence or additional testing.
This is for how hard the eyed thing made me laugh watching the VODs. I hate it here.
The IED thing is one of my favorites.
Look, him just saying the boy and the tree story was a little weird. How old was the boy in relative to the tree?
Oh my god. You're telling me that people go into these things called mines, and the people inside those mines are called miners? Why have we not gone after the American Coal Company for this, okay? Why was Jack stalking that bean? Why was that witch putting those kids in a soup? What did she really want out of that? Interesting what happened to that Hansel and Gretel. Why was a wolf dressed up as a grandma? Interesting. Little Red Riding Hood was going to be eaten. Likely story. Is that what you were gonna do, Wolf? If you were really gonna eat Little Red Riding Hood, why were you pictured here at Jeffrey Epstein's party?
Testimonies. I have now heard the other side of the allegations being made by Emily, but I have largely dodged around talking about them and her for a very simple reason. It is not fair to me or to you as an audience for me to be presenting takes that will clearly have been biased.
So Goldilocks is home invasion. No, Goldilocks is a reverse predator.
By what I now know. As long as Saber is off the record and I have been clear about this with him, I cannot use what he tells me, and to his credit, he wouldn't want me to. But one thing that was pointed out to me by Lazy Bedhead is that I clearly, from the start, had issues
Hate to break it to you, but there are different fairy tales for the ones you just mentioned. I'm going off of Hoodwinked. I'm using Hoodwinked logic here, okay? I'm not using Grimm's fairy tales of death and destruction.
These allegations.
Snow White groomed those petite men. Is that the new word? We don't call them midgets anymore. They're called petite individuals.
And she felt me not highlighting this previous bias made me slightly disingenuous. But my Twitter hasn't gone anywhere. And
Diesel, that was the wolf from the Three Little Pigs. Please, enough misinformation is disputed. Oh my god. Interesting how this Shrek guy married into a royal family and he's just from like a swamp. Honestly, I think he's set up Lord Farquaad. I think we need to relitigate the Farquaad allegations. What's Diesel's take on the Itsy Bitsy Spider? Listen, they should have known better. They shouldn't have gone up the waterspout, okay?
I was tweeting out about this on May the 2nd before I'd even begun looking at this in earnest. So, for the sake of transparency, let's just go over my thoughts and why I had issues with this to begin with. My primary problem with these allegations, having gone over many like them over the years, is that, to me, Emily tells on herself. My exact comments were, unless there is more, Saber is autistic and led her on, for like a year mind, talking about a relationship, which is shitty, but not cancel-worthy. Plus people are just glossing over the fact that this is at seemingly multiple meetings and convos, which adds a lot of grey to this. And when we come to the actual statement...
Diesel, that explain why Farquaad was seen on the quad in Epstein's personal gardens. Listen, he didn't know. He didn't know. I mean, he could barely see over the hedges. But yeah, we should get a third fruit. We should get a third fruit, you're right, dude. This is really a mentally overly stimulating
We can find
stream.
that Emmy is talking about being demisexual, multiple comments about Saber mentioning a relationship, and also talking about how she needed to get over her...
I'm so weeping for Farquaad. Listen, I mean, we're talking about Farquaad, but have you guys seen the Muffin Man? I mean, he was at the Diddy parties, okay? He was at the Diddy parties.
A crush because she felt her emotions would be...
I mean, we all know the Muffin Man, you know, who lives on Drury Lane.
toyed with. To me, and this is just my opinion, this statement reads far more like somebody who was pissed off and has been pissed off for years that the guy she liked decided not to date her. And I say this because my experience has been that people tell on themselves, often unable to omit their actual reasons for taking a particular course of action. This is, of course, me just explaining my biases and my tweets on this particular situation. We all undeniably have these biases, whether you are on the listen and believe all victim side or...
We all know she's married to the Muffin Man. How old is she exactly?
the evidence or it didn't happen side. Truthfully, most people are going to...
You know, I'm actually kind of surprised. It turns out I've had so many conversations with both Falgi and Beckett about this that I kind of saw most of the most outrageous parts of this video in advance. They literally content cucked me by telling me all the tea.
Fall somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. The issue only really comes when people are trying to ruin each other's lives based on hearsay. And once
She's 4 cabinets old. What's the cabinet age index on this individual, okay? I want every drama now to have a cabinet age index. All right.
And hopefully, for the final time now, I don't know the truth.
I did want to know.
Whether it is Saber Spark or Black Griffin, nobody does, except for the people directly involved. I am also not unsympathetic if there are real victims and the well has been poisoned because the people who are handling those claims have been brutally discredited. In fact, you'll notice that I barely talk about the DA Games accusations, because from what I've seen of it, it might have some legs, and because KP's video is so bad, that particular well has yet to actually be poisoned because most people don't even realize that that's what her video is about. So if there is
the
something
lion,
there,
the
I hope
witch,
somebody competent
and the
looks into it.
underage
If you've enjoyed this
wardrobe.
content,
Oh my god. No, I can't even, it won't let me do another goal. It's like lagging.
Please hit the buttons below the video. It does help the channel and I do appreciate it. Thanks to all our current subscribers and members, particularly those at
one cabinet equals child. So is two, okay. If what, no, is one cabinet a child? So then what is two cabinets? You know, we need to know when enough cabinets become legal. How many cabinets does it take to become an adult? How many cabinets old is the wardrobe?
Molding Level, Shelly May, Based Hoz, Sivance, Letters of Sky, Corvus Cabal, Rotting Brain, Dr. Zeus Hippo, Stationary Name, Hates Lizzie, and Star Sprinter. But before I go, I want to leave you with one thing, which is admittedly kind of just for me, because
two cabinets is a reverse. Each cabinet is 4 years.
Famous Brony.
One cabinet equals 4 years. Okay. No. This is our metric. Our metric is one cabinet equals 4 years. Okay.
Clip, which has lived rent-free in my head for years.
However, as most of us are aware, there's a darker side to fandom which we know.
I don't even. This is gonna be the most cringe thing ever.
Pretty well. To Mrs. Oliver and Miss Libin. Great. All right, so I'm pretty sure you're aware of Princess Celestia being portrayed as a tyrant, an air neutral, and God forbid a molester.
And the reason
God forbid a molester.
I have to bring this up is because the young lady on stage, sat next to Peter New, funnily enough, is Michelle. And I actually did ask her about this. A panelist gets up on stage and asks you about your opinions on Princess Celestia being depicted as a tyrant, an abuser, and a molester. Do you have any memory of this?
Zero. I'm telling you, I have zero memories from conventions, almost at all. They all blur together.
I even showed it to her, and she couldn't even identify which convention it took place at, which, if anything, kind of wraps this story up quite nicely. These events from a decade or so ago mean so much to so many people, but for those involved, this was just their job. As always, more content to come. Peace.
Yeah, I think that's really telling how important it was to some people, but how for these people it was just a job. I think that's a really great way to summarize that, Beckett. I think that's, you know, you're not Hemingway, but you know, you have a way with words. But maybe it's because you're English. What if Farquaad's excuse is the same as Frank's? I was only in it for the quad bike. I don't know about the kid stuff. Are cabinet years like dog years? I guess. Okay, I have more stuff in this, but I think this is gonna be like unless something outrageous happens in like the next week, this is just going to be this week. Okay. Lord Farquaad don't have internet. Go easy on him. Oh my god. Thank you all for coming out. An amazing stream. But make sure to subscribe on your way out if you're new here. We're gonna go through all of this. I'm hoping to catch up with the drama so I can look at it as it unfolds, okay? But take care, guys. Be well, all that stuff. Happy Pride, by the way. Happy Pride.